Quick shout out to Brad over at Sport Around Trophies and Awards. Thanks again, brother, for all you do for the podcast. He hooks up the guests as well as us with custom tumblers with the Commotion Podcast logo. We really do appreciate that. If you guys are in the market for trophies, awards, anything that is custom engraved or etched, he is the man, and he is local here in Rhino, Virginia. Give him a call, 540-613-1892, or you can look him up at Facebook at Sport Around Trophies and Awards. Listen, we just got done with the podcast with Matt and Monica. It was an absolute banger. We had a blast talking everything from fast stuff to the politics of the world. You guys, take your hats off. It's time to roll.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we're back. Man, so we had Matt on, I guess it was late 2019, right before
Yeah, it's
COVID.
been a few years, yeah.
And everything calmed down. This is episode 3 back in 2023. Man, I'm excited to catch up. It seems like a lot of shit has happened in 2.5 years.
Yeah,
dude.
well, you've been doing a lot of stuff too, man.
Yep.
You know, just the whole deal with the police officer deal,
Yep.
and then real estate, and
Yep.
you've done a lot here, a little bit of time here lately too.
Man, just trying to maintain. You know, it was one of those weird situations. Whenever COVID hit, I was neck deep. I mean, neck deep in law enforcement. And we were doing transports at the time. So I was in every hospital from like here to Virginia Beach and back and forth right when COVID was hitting.
Yeah.
Never got COVID.
Really good for you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So did it affect you guys?
Oh, man. Well, you know, honestly, I got COVID and had to miss 2 races. So I dealt with it for about 4 weeks, you know, and I think I got, a second strand of it. You know, the first one was real bad. The second one was bad. And then it kind of mutated and got a little bit less and less as it goes. I mean, I almost feel like it's a common cold or something nowadays. You know what I mean? You don't even hear people talking about COVID, right? But it just, for me, I spent 2 weeks in a hotel room trying to get, you know, up to where I felt like I could drive a race car and still not tell anybody I had COVID, and you know what I mean? Just didn't want to let my team down. And,
yeah, dude.
But, you know, come to find out, I just was in no shape to do that, you know, and honestly, you know, I got to the racetrack and, you know, I had 104 temperature, and my crew chief looked at me and he's like, "What are you doing here?" You know, and so I was like, "Man, I got to drive," you know, and he was like, "No, you got to go home." We called a teammate in that had just lost his ride, Tommy Johnson, and he comes in and that weekend, they didn't get the car qualified, so it hurt us some points there. But the next weekend, he comes out and wins the race. And then, you know, like, he's my biggest hero. But it's so weird to watch a guy drive your race car and win the race. You know what I mean? Like, you're excited for your team, but you're like, damn. Yeah, like, damn.
Don't be that good, bro.
Yeah,
Get to the finals,
that needs to be
man.
me, yeah. But
Don't win.
So it was a little tough. It was, like, bittersweet to see it happen, you know, and go down. Like, we needed the points and stuff like that to come out there. And we won the championship the next year. And, you know, it was just one of those things. Well, no, I think I won the championship the year before that or something like that. It might have been the next year. Anyway, however it fell with COVID, we came back and were real strong and did what we needed to do. But, man, it really had me down in the dirt for a little while. And it was just one of those things. I never in my life had been in a situation where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this. You know what I mean? Like, you're laying there and just sweating for 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Fevers and all this other stuff. And, I
talked to you, and I said, "How's it going, man?" You know, I like periodically check in. You were like, "Bro, I'm sick of it. I lost like 30 pounds. I am stoked up, bro."
You know me, man. I like to eat, you know, and I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't keep any processed foods down. Like, the only thing I could eat was like natural food, like fruit and like, you know, some beef here and there, a little bit of chicken. But like anything like processed or had artificial sweetener in it, like you wanted to throw it up, you know, and it's crazy, you know, but, yeah, it took a little toll on me, man. I'd love to sit here and say, you know, I'm this big tough farm boy that nothing affects me, but man, it had me in the dirt for a little while, and you know, but you put a lot of stuff in perspective when you're laying there and you're trying to walk to the bathroom to take a piss and you can't breathe and you're going like, this ain't good and it ain't getting no better, you know. But honestly, what kind of saved me was when I put a press release out. I'd already been dealing with this for like 2 weeks, and my fever hadn't broke, and I've been in the hospital and spent some nights there, and just like nothing, you know, obviously it wasn't to where I was going to put me on a vent, but like it was kind of like getting there, you know what I mean? And
did it get in your chest?
Yeah, it just, you know, I couldn't breathe and stuff. And this family, this Christian family, they reached out to me and they were like, hey, I got some hydroxychloroquine. We're like, we don't know how bad you are, but please let us send it to you and, you know, see what you think. And, you know, please try it. You know, I was like, send it, like, come on with it. You know what I mean? So I was ready for it. And took it, and within 2 days, like, my fever broke. Bro. I started breathing again. Like, it was just like, how in the world is this not available to everybody? You know, it was definitely something that I was like, this is crooked that we can't get this to other people, you know?
Because it works.
Yeah.
That's why.
It did, right? crazy, you know, and you're sitting there and you these people pass away, you know, and it's kind of like one of those things where you're going like, you know, if they just had some of that medicine or something, you just wonder how many people would still be here and how many lives that, you know, that have been changed because of the loss of life and everything else. And these doctors were just so scared that they're going to lose their license to, you know, to prescribe stuff like that. And you're going like, how is this even ethical that you wouldn't try to give this to people? You know what I mean? So after going through it and seeing what the medicine did for me, you know what I mean? Bro. Like it definitely put a lot of stuff in perspective.
So think about that. Think about in how we're seeing it now and everything that's coming out now and all the backtracking that everybody's doing and all the stuff that the CDC is backtracking on.
Yeah.
Just think about another 2 or 3 years when this stuff is actually finally clinically tested, right?
Right.
I mean, it'll be tested in 2 or 3 more years. But between that and the horse dewormer and stuff like that, I mean, they were things out there that freaking work.
Yeah, it was help people, yeah.
How in the hell could those people do that with a good conscience? People were dying, couldn't even have friends in the hospital when people were passing away. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
People went through that. That's real shit. You know, I don't know what the numbers are, but I know that during that time when we were in the ER and we were, you know, when I was a sheriff's deputy and we were going through that, nobody was in there. I mean, we were in there just because we had to sit on folk, but yeah, you saw some suffering, bro.
Yeah.
It was no joke.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just glad you got out of it.
Oh, me too, man. Very blessed. Blessed to be here. You know, like I said, you know, I've been on fire. I've broke bones. I've flipped cars. I've crashed stuff. And, you know, in the moment, you're like, oh, man, that's bad. You know what I mean? And, you know, you're getting through it. But when you lay there for 2 weeks and you're, you know, trying to just catch your breath, you know what I mean? And you can't, you know, you're sweating like crazy, man, like you're in a sauna, you know? It just gives you too much time to think about, you know, the bad side of it is like, what if I don't come out of this? Or I go to sleep tonight and I don't wake up, you know, and stuff like that. So for me, it put a lot of stuff in perspective. And, you know, you just sometimes you need that to appreciate life more and respect it and, you know, just be grateful that you're here, you know.
That you do, my friend. How was this year?
It was pretty good. You know, we didn't finish as strong as I'd hoped for. We finished third this year overall. Had a shot all the way up until the last day and fumbled the ball on the last day, man. We just picked the wrong lane. We had lane choice, and you know, and I've had a couple fans reach out, and they go like, you know, why did you guys go to that other lane? And we hadn't been down that I guess the right lane, and it was favored on Sunday, but our car hadn't been down there just the way our chassis works, and the clutch comes at it. We kept smoking the tires, and my assistant crew chief and car chief, they kind of pick what lane we're supposed to be in because they walk the track and stuff. And tough situation to be in because, you know, we've been down the left lane, but the right we hadn't, and the right was favored, and we smoked the tires at the hit, you know what I mean? And it just kind of bit us, you know what I mean?
Did it get greasy or?
Yeah, just greasy. The something to do with the lane, you know, if someone oiled it down and they didn't get it all cleaned up and, you know, just kind of run through one of those spots. And unfortunate for us, you know, it cost us a championship, and Caps actually won it, which kind of surprised everybody because Robert had been dominating all year long. I mean, he won I think it's 9 or 10 races out there out of the 22 that we had, and just you know, you had your hands full every time you ran Robert, you know, and so we went back and forth and battled it out to the last day, man, at the last couple rounds, and just didn't end up our way. But you know, at least we were in the hunt. We had a shot at it. You know, new team with Tony Stewart, you know, just the guy's been amazing to work for. Good guy, man. Like, just a good dude. And he's one of those guys you want to win for. You know what I mean? Like, he's just, you know, don't get me wrong, I didn't want to win. It's not that I didn't want to win for Don. Yeah. But, you know, Tony has done so much as far as his driving career. It's like you want to impress the guy, right? Like, he's a wheel man. He's a racer, right? Yep. So you want to impress him. You want to make sure that, you know, as a driver, you're stepping up, you're doing what you got to do, and you're bringing them home. And for me, that was cool, you know, to have a guy that's crawls under the car and beats and bangs with you and punches you in the chest and is like, let's get up. He's like, it's time to do driver shit. You know what I mean?
It's just real, man.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
real
cool.
people. And when I was in the music business, I always appreciated just real people, you know, because you're a figure.
Yeah.
And you're paid to be that. You're paid for that persona. You're paid for that look and all that stuff. And then when you get management or crew or anything like that relates, that's like been on the ground, that's like boots on the ground type mentality, you just want to work for that person.
Yeah, and
you know
and the guy's a good guy. Like my car chief, man, like his kid had pneumonia and was in ICU for a couple of days, and Tony threw him on his private plane, sent him back home, you know, made sure he got there with his family to be with his kids. And, you know, it probably cost Tony $10,000 to do that. But, you know, he made sure that he was there and his kid was in the hospital and he was there to take care of him and be with his family and stuff like that. But that's the type of guy Tony is, you know. People don't talk about stuff like this, but like Tony's handler, come to find out, I got to talking to him a little bit. And you know, just back in the day, he ran across some, I guess, a guy that, you know, he worked for him and did PR and all this stuff and trying to have some kids and couldn't have kids and wanted to adopt, and the guy had saved up a couple grand to try to do it, you know, and it was going to be like 25, 30 grand. And Tony was like, well, how close are you, you know, and went out there and ended up buying the kid 2 kids, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like Tony's a good rich dude, you know what I mean? Like,
he's a good, he uses it properly.
Right, yeah, he's just a good dude, man, you know what I mean? So
that process, speaking of that, because I'm adopted.
Okay.
Right? And you'd never know, my
Didn't
parents
know
are
that,
5'4" and 5'5".
Wow.
Yeah, so.
What happened?
Exactly. And we got that
You fell in some growth hormone or something?
That's what it was, just straight GH pull. Nah, but, you know, I was adopted, so I always had that draw. You know, I was kind of like, well, maybe I'll adopt once I have a couple kids of my own. You know, I thought that was what was in the cards for me. So my wife and I, we were told we couldn't have kids when we were in Nashville. And I was like, oh, well, there's my sign, you know. So we started going through that process.
Right.
And then I realized it is a money-making situation
Really?
if it's done through like an agency. I mean, we went through the classes and did a bunch of stuff
Everything.
like that. Bro, it's like,
Expensive, yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sit and, you know, you're talking 25 grand, and that's like, you know, between the home studies and having to
All
go
that
through
stuff.
it's like, why is that so expensive? There should be like a grant.
Right. Yeah,
You know, or
exactly. Take
something
these
like
kids
that.
and take care of them, you know what I mean? Like,
And the problem
need it.
is, and what's sad, bro, is the moment I saw this, I was like, this sucks. I was like, this is a terrible thing. They brought out a book, bro. They brought out a 3-ring binder, and it had kids in it.
really?
My freaking heart was like,
Sad, yeah.
how many kids can I fit in my
Right.
car? You know what I mean?
Let's take them all home.
Like, I was like, man, damn, dude. You know, all this money as a country, we're just blowing and throwing wherever.
40 million over to, across
overseas.
the way. Yeah.
And we got these kids, man.
40 billion, I'm sorry. Not
Yeah,
million. Yeah.
that's a truckload.
Yeah.
But, you know, and it just broke my heart. But, you know, and I still think we want to try to do that. But
No, that's
you know,
great, man. I think, you know, obviously, anytime that you have the means or the resources to, you know, life is kind of crazy. You know, you think it's about building wealth and building money and building, it's about, you know, relationships. And to me, anyway, that I've come to find out being around a lot of people and obviously trying to establish wealth and different things. But it's more about what you can do for someone else. You know what I mean? Like, if you're blessed enough to be lucky enough to have the financial means to do things, it's, you know, it's just always, you know, what can you do to help someone else's life, make it better? And I try real hard to do that with anybody that comes into my life, you know, like find a way to help them out, do whatever you can to, and it makes a full circle, man. Like, I don't know about juju and karma and all this other stuff, but, you know, kind of goes around, comes around, right?
It's
like,
real.
You know, yeah. So, I mean, I truly believe in a lot of that, you know, as far as like, do good to others and good things will happen to you, you know,
I've
and
seen it
surround
on
yourself
both
with good
sides.
people, you know?
I've seen good come back and bad come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's, you know, I'm glad that you're with an organization that has a leader like that, bro.
Yeah, and you know he's the type of guy that you respect. I mean, you know, I've carried him out of a few bars. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of, he just wants to have a good time.
Yeah, man.
And he don't care about the check. He wants the trophy. You know what I mean? He was like, "How big's the trophy, and how many can we get?" You know what I mean?
That's
It's like
killer.
he's like, you know, the money. He's like, we've already spent it. You know what I mean? So it's really cool to be in an environment that you can have fun, cut up, and not that it wasn't fun at DSR. You know, I spent 13, 14 years over there. It's just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have an older guy that you're working for that's not been in a driver's seat in a long time. And, you know, I have to say nothing but good things about Don Schumacher because I got paid every 2 weeks, man. My check was never late.
Yep.
He always made sure I was in a race car. You know, and I won 3 world championships with him with 2 different crew chiefs and stuff. And you know, so he always put a great crew and a great, you know, group of individuals around me to be able to be successful. So I don't really have anything to say bad about Don. And everybody was like, well, why'd you leave? Well, it's about what you can do, you know, a new challenge, right? Like trying to do the same thing and win championships with someone new. It's like same with my first crew chief that I won a championship with. You know, that's great, but like let's do it with somebody else. Let's reinvent the wheel. You know, let's figure out how we can. So I looked at it more as like, you know, I feel like I'm not really to the end of my driving career, but what can I do to make this more challenging and try to do something and try to be successful with a different group of people, you know what I mean? That kind of thing.
And that's why, you know, artists, when I worked with different artists, I was like, well, I just want to see, you know, I want that new challenge. I want to make that person better.
Yeah.
I want to, you know, go to a new crew, you know, because I was tour manager and did that. So like they were my crew, they were my people. And those people become family, like, you know, and it was just kind of after it's sad to leave, but at the same time, it's like, man, you know, I feel like I left you guys in a way better place. So I'm going to, you know, try to tackle the next task. And it was fun. You know, it was part of it was the game to me.
Right.
You know, what we do is it's work, you know, but it's not
but
like,
you enjoy it.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the task at hand, you know, and learning the grooves and figuring out, you know, everybody's personalities and doing stuff like that. That was kind of the thing to me, was like, you know, we're going 75 miles an hour down the road, sleeping, 12 of us in basically a single wide, you know what I mean? So it's like, how can we make this work?
Yeah.
You know?
That's a big challenge that I think that our guys face, you know. I mean, there's 10 guys on our crew, and, you know, at the end of every year, everybody's tired of each other, right? Like, you know, there's a bunch of dudes piled in one deal, and you're like, you know, how do we get along? How do we, you know, make sure that these people want to come back every year, that they want to, you know, work hard and get paid less, and you know, just it's tough, man. You know what I mean? Keeping everybody's egos in check and everybody's, you know, temper in check, and, you know, making sure everybody gets along. It's kind of you know, challenging, but when you have a good group of people and you surround that's the one thing that I think I've learned from my dad and just my racing career and different things like that, is surround yourself with good people, right?
You have to.
And when you do that with people that are smarter than you, that work harder than you, and, you know, for me, it's like when it's all right, it's just like, now it's up to me not to mess it up. You know what I mean? But so many good things, like, you know, that old saying of, if you surround yourself with millionaires, you learn to be a millionaire. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Surround yourself with a bum on the street, you're probably going to be a bum on the street. You know what I mean? So I really believe in that. And that's really been the key to my success, is just having a group of guys that are they're driven, they're motivated, they want to work hard. They come in early, they leave late, you know, and
hoping that continues for years.
Right.
Because you get those young guys.
Yeah.
You know, you get those hotheads that come in, they're like gung-ho, this is awesome, I love this, rock star lifestyle, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You watch it fade.
Yeah, it's a lot of work at the end of the day.
Happiness fade when your knuckles are busted, and you know what I mean? And it's, so finding that. How's the longevity within your sport, within like your mechanics and stuff?
I think there's a lot of turnover, obviously, because I've seen it with some of my crew guys, even though we try real hard. Like for me, you know, when we were in COVID, and I don't tell a lot of people this, but I mean, we're talking now on podcast, but
yeah, bro.
But like, you know, when COVID happened, my boss, you know, Don at the time, was cutting everybody's pay, and, you know, just, you guys be lucky to have a job, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And so I had 4 or 5 guys that were like, hey man, I can't survive on this. You know what I mean? Like I got to go find another job. And I was just like, these guys are so important to me that, you know, we had the opportunity to win a championship. And I was like, I don't know if we're going to win it, guys, but I feel like we will. And I was like, but I can't do it without you. I need you to stay here and be here. And if we win this, like, I don't know what my bonus is going to be, but I want you guys to have it, you know, so just stick it out, right? Like, so that's how important those guys are to me. So we won the championship, and I gave my guys all my bonus, you know, for winning the championship. And it wasn't huge amounts, but, you know, they all got, you know, it was enough to make everybody happy.
Yeah, but
you know
you think scale.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
$5,000 could change
Oh,
somebody's
yeah.
life.
Yeah,
You know what I
100%.
mean?
Well, and those guys count on that kind of stuff, you
Yeah,
know.
dude.
And then when they're getting pay cuts and they're telling, we might not keep you in COVID, and we don't know what we're racing and what sponsors are doing and stuff, but we're still out here racing, and these guys, have to put it in. And you have 3 or 4 of them come to you and you're going like, we're out, man. Like, we love you to death, but we're out. So it's like, what do you do? Money motivates everyone, right? Like, what do you do to keep these guys on? And sure enough, we end up winning the championship that year, and it was just so cool. Like, as much as I hated to sign over my bonus to them, it was cool that I was able to do that, and they were able to stay, and they helped me win that championship.
It meant more to them than you.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
When you start putting perspective on things, and that's the right frame of mind to have, bro. And very few people have that.
Yeah, well, and that's where I get back to where life is not really about building wealth. You know what I mean? Like, it is, but it isn't. It's about what you can do to make other people. When you get to that situation, that point in your life, it's like, how can I help others to be, their life be better and stuff like that. Same deal with my guys. They're like, what can we do to help them? You know what I mean? And make sure that they're, feeling good about being in that situation, being on the road, and being, beat up and setting up the tents and tearing them down and driving the big rig across the country. And
it's monotonous.
Yeah.
Man.
So, but I want to get back to where you were talking about being on the road and tour manager and all that kind of stuff. Same kind of deal, keeping everybody happy, man.
It is, and you can't.
Yeah,
you can't.
Tough,
I mean,
right.
you never will. I mean, you can throw nasty checks at people, and ultimately, if they're not happy, what I've figured out over my 15 plus years of doing what I did, what I figured out is when they're not happy with themselves, they're just never going to be happy,
Yeah.
And I became the asshole at the end for me, because that's when I had my first girl, my little girl Scarlett. I was missing my baby. I was like the old jaded dude on the road. Yeah. Like, damn, I'm just ready to get home, and making more than I ever made, had a production company, doing great stuff. And the only thing I wanted was anything but that. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm just done. Like, I had made it to where I wanted
where you
to
want
be.
to be, and then you're not happy where you want to be. It's kind of like that. What is it? That Gary Allen song? I'm right where I need to be. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it just kind of, it puts it in perspective. You know what I mean? Like, your boss wants you to do, but like, you got to find what works for you and where you want to be at. You know what I mean? Because it's way too short out here to be doing something you don't want to do.
You get one shot.
Yeah.
And that's like, so we had Scarlett, my daughter, who's 7 years old now. And as soon as I had Scarlett, I had to leave for a USO, Air Force Entertainment Tour in Iran, in Iraq, and Djibouti.
Oh, wow.
So I was like gone without, we had a sat phone, and that was it. So I went and I was like, okay, this is really hard. So then we came back here and we had my little man, Jackson, and I went for 5 weeks on a Canadian tour in the freaking winter, dude.
Really?
And that's when I think I was like,
yeah.
We're
There's got to be
done
something
here.
else there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. So then I started, planning, because we were already back in Virginia. We'd moved back, and they were flying me and doing whatever I needed to do. And it was kind of one of those situations where I was like, all right, I'm going to plan my exit. You know? And I had just wanted to give back after we started doing the USO stuff and doing stuff, because I was with Craig Morgan for years, you know, and he was huge in giving back and doing stuff like that. And I started thinking, how can I do it? And that's when I started thinking about law enforcement. And it was, I enjoyed doing that. I really did. And Kim was doing real estate, and we just loved it. And it was just a natural transition back because, I don't think I'd made as little money as I had probably since I was 17. I went back to my pay scale back then. But I was like, you know what? It's not about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm home.
Happy.
I'm with my family. I'm seeing my kids, and
that's really where everybody tries to be in life anyway. They work to where you can be around family and spend that time where you want to.
And it's like we were talking about before we went on the air. When you're in town, what are you doing?
Yeah,
right?
Just taking the kids to school every day and picking them up, and I kind of turned into the mommy. You know what I mean? Like just the shuttle bus and the grocery store and all that kind of stuff. But it's what you need to do, because she does a lot of that while I'm gone. You know what I mean? And it's just like, getting up at 6 every morning to do that stuff. I mean, I know it wears on her, because it wears on me because I don't ever stop. I don't ever get that morning that you sleep in because I've been on the road and then I try to get back and take care of the stuff while I'm at home. And I'm like, man, if I got one morning I could just sleep till 9, I'd be great, you know. But just hit that reset button, you know.
Those red eyes hit different, you know.
Man,
when you come back and you're like, all right, I'm at ROA at friggin' 6:35, and
you've been up all night, really, just 30 minutes of sleep.
I can't sleep on a plane.
Yeah, I'm the same way. You're a big guy too, you know what I mean. And I sat in front of a guy going to Indy the other day, and he took up both seats for sure. And thank God there was only one girl over the next window beside him, so he had the middle seat to be open. But he was still like over on the armrest, and I was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna show you a trick. Like this armrest lifts up over here." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, thank God, dude." Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah. So he was this one. He's just like 6'5", you know, and 350-pound guy, you know, just a big boy, you know what I mean. So I was like, here, this will save your life for the next 45 minutes, you know what I mean?
Dude, the worst for me was the small dudes that sat like they were the 6'5" dudes.
Right.
Finally,
fighting
I just
for the armrest,
dude.
You know?
I would just straight man on man it up. I'd be like, "Hey, listen, bro, if you're gonna sit like that, you're gonna enjoy this." Right. And I would put my arm on his hand, you know, something. You know, it either got really awkward or we laughed about it, you know, and had a drink.
100%. Yeah.
So when you came on the podcast the first time, we were announcing True Harvest. That's the first time that anybody really heard about True Harvest. And doing that. So we have come as a state.
It's been 5 years ago or something like that, huh?
19.
19, yeah.
That's when you first, or early 19.
Yeah, I think so.
But we've come as a state.
A long ways, yeah.
A very long way. What did that mean for you?
Well, you know, I mean, obviously I'm not in the marijuana business, you know, yet. And I don't know that I will be, but it's just one of those things where the CBD side of things for me has been really unbelievable as far as how much it's really helped people. I get emails at least every week, you know, of like, hey, I'm going through chemotherapy and this really, you know, I don't want to be on marijuana because I can't function, but like this helps me get through my day and different things like that. Like there's a time and place for marijuana and THC, you know, but there's also a time and place where you want to live your daily and you want to function and you want something to help knock that edge off of the pain. And I don't think it's by any means the cure all be all, you know, but if you can get through something, you know, without being on some type of Oxycontin or opioid or something like that, that to me is a win, you know. And, you know, I lost my brother, you know, over an opioid addiction. And, you know, I watched in 3 years it pretty much kill him, you know. And honestly, this last year, the doctor, she's, I guess, got sentenced to 6 years in prison for killing 2 other people along with him. So just overprescribing, yeah. So he was on a dose that was for pretty much a terminal ill cancer patient, just to, you know, to get through hospice or whatever. Oh yeah, just ridiculous. But end of the day, you know, he was still taking it and he was control of it, you know, and it fell in his lap to how much you want to take or not take. And as an adult, you know what I mean? You know, as a brother or as my father, you have no control over that. You know what I mean? So it was tough to watch, you know what I mean? Kind of him deteriorate to where he would just be sitting around, you know, just kind of out of it, you know, falling asleep in his soup and, you know, whatever, you know, just not here on this planet pretty much. You know what I mean? I was like, Kyle, this stuff's going to kill you, man. And he's like, can't live with it. It can't live without it. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of, he got in this vicious cycle of it, you know, and went to bed, had pneumonia from sitting around so long and went to bed and took too many pills and didn't wake up. You know what I mean? So unfortunate, but, you know, I watched what opioids did to him, you know, and so for me, when CBD, you know, we were able to grow hemp out here, it was the mindset of, hey, we can help people without, you know, this super addictive Oxycontin or opioid or painkiller to get them through the day or get them through the night or whatever it may be. And like I said, it's not the cure all be all, but we're selling the fire out of it online. You know what I mean? Like trueharvest.com, man. Like, you know, I get an email every time someone orders something and your phone just lit up with emails, which is great. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you got to stick with it for it to really work. You know, you can't take it once and it's like a week process, you know, like stick with it a week, see how it does, and then make your decision, you know, that kind of stuff. So it's good to see people.
My inflammation. It helps me, like, because my neck, I was in a car wreck like in 2018, and both the rubs, the tinctures, and, you know, the smoke.
You're right.
It does. It takes the edge off, man. Like, I get restless legs. Like,
well, that's kind of crazy. You mentioned I had a firefighter that was like, I have restless legs. I can't sleep at night. Started taking, and he's like, it cured me, man. He's like, I've tried everything, you know what I mean? And who would have thought CBD would help that? You know what I mean? Stuff like, and it seems like it helps a lot of stuff that these people are emailing me, and I had no idea. You know what I mean? I'm like, no way, you know, like surely not. And they're like, yeah, man, like this is something that I've been trying, and it's really working for me. And thank you for making a product that is not just full of coconut oil. You know what I mean? So I think that's a problem too. Is like there's no regulations with the government side of it. So a lot of these people, you know, like anything involved with money, you're going to get scammed sometimes. You know, if you allow people to do that, or you don't do your homework or background check.
And hemp.
Yeah.
The difference between hemp and CBD. Way different.
Way different. Yeah. And so for me, you know, people, when they stumble across our product and they realize that we're, you know, it's a pure ingredient, and we've, you know, it's start to finish, and, you know, we really have to stand behind what we do, and they find that it works for them, it's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Dude.
So, yeah.
And it does. It like legit does. So when you came in, you had just purchased this enormous drying system from across seas. How did that pan out?
That was awful, man. I had people, it caught on fire, and I had people calling me. Yeah, they're like, your barn's on fire. I'm like, no shit, I'm in it. You know what I'm trying to put it out. You know what I mean? So yeah, 4 or 5 extinguishers later, we ended up getting them to buy it back, and thank goodness, because it was, you know, it was a massive amount of money that we paid for this thing.
Right? You were telling me the freight was just stupid.
Crazy, yeah. And so yeah, it caught on fire, didn't work, and then I'm sitting here with all these wet bells, and I'm like, how do I dry this stuff? And we found a processor way back when that would take wet bells, and so we sent some of that to them, and you know, kind of got through it. But you know, and I dove in so hard, I had no idea how much 1 acre of, you know, hemp or CBD would, you know, these plants would do. And we planted hundreds of acres of this stuff, and I got like 8,000 liters of it. And so put this in perspective, 1 liter makes like 900 products. So and I got like 8,000 liters. So I'm going to be in the CBD business for a while. Good. Everybody's like, why aren't you growing out there? I'm like, man, I got more oil than I know what to do with, you know, and we're selling it. But, you know, we never really wanted to be in the retail business. Honestly, I was just wanting to farm it, you know, kind of sell it out and let it roll, you know, not deal with it.
Kind of like wholesale distribution.
Yeah, just like bulk oil, you know, stuff like that, you know. So for me, it was just the process and the steps. Everybody, the whole industry got flooded, and the only thing that didn't really take a hit was the you know, the retail side of it, you know. So we're like, well, I guess we're going to be in the retail side of it. So unbeknownst to us, you know, we just wanted to farm it, and ended up now we're, you know, selling tinctures and salves and face creams and lotions and, you know, feminine products for, you know, makeup and I was
going to say, what feminine products are CBD, bro?
I'll let you introduce her. I'm going to take your jacket off. I'm sweating.
Please. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's Monica, and I am from Indiana, and I own a gym out there. And I've known Matt. I used to work at DSR. Oh gosh, like 20 years ago. I feel like
you worked with at
I
Schumacher?
did. Yeah, I worked there, and just kind of stayed in touch. And I've actually sold some of his CBD stuff at my gym and everything. But here I am.
Awesome. Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah,
it's good to see you. And Matt, she's showing you how any lifts or what's going on?
Yeah, actually, she's in. I'm sorry, I pulled the mic up here.
Yeah,
actually, she's in. We've been buying some equipment from Rogue and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And so she's a big Rogue dealer and stuff like that. So we've been trying to beef the gym up a little bit and come in and, you know, kind of been helping with some of that, with some of the deals and different things like that. And
I'll kill her.
And she's a trainer too. So if anything else, I always need to learn how to get better in shape, you know.
That's my thing, man. Whenever, you know, we had kids and everything hit, and then when I was in law enforcement, of all the dumb stuff I do in a day, I hurt myself on those steps.
That's always, it's always, people always get hurt. It's never in the gym, because in the gym, you're so self-conscious of what you're doing. You know, I've had people break their ankles stepping out of cars or falling, you know, downstairs. So it's always that stuff, or, you know, bending down, picking up something. You're not conscious of it. Where in the gym, you're more aware.
I was doing hibachi for the family. Okay. I came down here because we got a freezer, and I was getting some frozen veggies, and I left the light on. And I turned around, and it was literally the hand of God just smacked me down on those steps. I was wearing dudes, right? Yeah. And I have a size 15 shoe, so and they don't fit on any, you know. So
you get a little hangover.
So so I mean, next thing I know, I'm like boom, 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 boom down the steps, and my wife had a kettlebell that was on there, and it was following me down.
Man!
And I was like, I mean, breath completely gone.
Yeah.
So it shot 2 ribs out, and it herniated a disc.
Oh gosh.
Really?
I couldn't. I mean, I had those procedures in my back where they do like the X-ray guided needles and all that stuff, and I had to make a decision, dude. You know, I would burn out all my FML with the sheriff's department.
Really?
And I was like, okay, I'm already doing real estate on the side. And I just made that decision. You know, I was like, I just got to do it. And it's
last time I fell down the
suck.
steps, man, I was like, I don't know, it wasn't all of them. It was probably halfway down, and they're carpeted, so it wasn't as bad as it could be.
Got the bougie steps, man.
No, it's up to the rec room. It could be carpeted because mud and kids and everything else. But my wife comes running down, and like I hit there's a wall right there at the end of the steps, you know, and I hit the wall pretty hard and messed up the drywall, put a pretty big dent in it, and she's like, "Oh my God, the wall!" And I was like, "What about me? Like,
I'm alive."
I was like, "Screw this wall." Yeah,
That's the
I was
way.
like, "Help me up!" You know what I mean?
Dude,
So-
shit you not. I'll fail. My wife comes running. She's like, what
Where's the
happened?
kettlebell?
No, well, may as well have. Came down, got in front of me, and I was like, you know, and she just starts dying laughing.
Really?
Like, right,
Like,
she
it's
can't
not funny.
uncontrollably. And I'm like,
Help me. Yeah.
because she's not used to, you know, there's some dumb shit. I'm always getting hurt doing something, obviously. But, you know, it's never anything terrible. And she had a kick out of it.
Yeah, man. I was just like, screw this wall, man. I was like $500 to fix it. It was like, I don't know if I can walk right now. You know?
Yeah. So, True Harvest, how did the swing of passing legal actual THC marijuana or content in marijuana, how did that change you in your like, did you change your
No,
your
so
mar-
we're still CBD, and so far right now, like from what I understand, you can have Delta 8 as long as you're 21 now in
What is
Virginia.
that?
So Delta 8 is basically I think it's stronger than THC and personally, but
Okay.
It's just one of those things where it's derived hemp product, so it comes from hemp, but it comes from isolate, and then you put it in a rotovap, and our chemist and a couple, you know, obviously a lot of other chemists know how to create it into Delta 8. So Delta 8 is one molecule off from Delta 9 THC. So basically it's a loophole around the law of being able to sell THC anywhere, you know.
Okay.
And so Virginia came in and said, look, you have to be at least 21 to have, because like up until that point last year, a 10-year-old could go in there and buy Delta 8, you know, off at a smoke shop or whatever. But
do what you do, 10-year-old.
yeah, I mean, can you
handle this, homie?
can you handle this? Don't just one go, half a gummy for you, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know, for me, it was just one of those things where we, you know, with what we do in my presence in racing and my dad's businesses and everything else, you have to, you know, follow the rule of the law. And for us, you know, it was one of those things where THC wasn't legal yet, and I think right now you can have like 3 plants at your house or something like that. I forget. I don't know what it is. I haven't really been following it that much.
It's 3. Yeah, 3 or 4 or something like that.
And you know, so that's legal, but you still can't sell THC legal without a medical card here in Virginia. And right now, to put your name in the hat, it's like $1 million. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's going to be but like 10 licenses for it. So it's kind of like, do you spend the money and jump into that kind of thing? And you know, and I wouldn't mind to do something like that if the market doesn't, where it's like Oklahoma, where it's like $20 for a license and anybody can grow this stuff. And then it gets saturated, and then it's like, why spend the money? Because everyone has a license. You're competing with your neighbor and yada, yada, yada. So I think that it is a good thing that they're going to probably, you know, only allow so many licenses out there to do the THC stuff. But it also is a huge, you know, like, throw your name in the hat for this much money and hopefully,
like a
lottery. Like I've been putting in an organ for like 15 years and still ain't got drawn.
I know,
you know what I mean?
man.
It's crazy. Like somebody always comes in with more bonus points than me, but it's just one of those things where for us, we're still just CBD based, and you know, we obviously skincare products and you know, beard oils and you name it. I mean, there's a venue for it. You know what I mean? But and
mostly
like I said,
online. You think online's kind of where it's
our
at for you?
online. So I thought, you know, being so naive, you know, 5 years ago, not knowing about websites and all this other stuff, I was like, oh, you build a website and people will just show up and buy your stuff, you know, just talk about it on Rob's podcast and it'll be fine, you know.
Yep. You're golden.
And, golden. Well, no, it don't work like that. So you have to pay these folks for SEO and SEM, so search engine optimization. So it's a whole like business for these people to write these blogs and, making sure that the algorithms and your name pops up when you type in CBD. And so you're paying a guy like $8,000 a month to do this stuff so that your name pops up when someone types in CBD. And so it's you're spending money to make money, but it's just like was blown away how much it takes. And then, with CBD and hemp and marijuana and everything else, it all kind of gets lumped into this THC category. So Google flags you on every type of promotion that you try to do, and it gets shut down. And
just group it together.
Oh, and I have this company called Rocksteady Marketing, and his name is John Hunley, and he does global marketing for New Holland. It's kind of how I met him, through the New Holland sponsorship. Okay. Well, this guy is like a guru with it. Has his own company. Can't get my stuff promoted. Like it keeps getting shut down, and it keeps getting flagged. Yeah, and all this other stuff, just because like our original website had whoever set up our web designer had linked to some THC stuff here and there on the backside of the web design and different things, or picture or something. And it's just like we've been having to create I've been through like 5 or 6 websites to try to get our CBD stuff going, and all these pages, and then it's just it's like, so like to get a merchant service, like someone with my beef company where we sell beef, it took me 30 minutes to get a merchant service account for my beef company. It took me 3 months to get a merchant service for my CBD company. I mean, put that in perspective. You know what I mean? Like it's just such a taboo thing still. I mean, and people, obviously there's an education process with it, and realizing that it doesn't have the psychoactive side of it. I mean, you can still pop on a drug test for it because it's in your system, but you don't get the psychoactive effects for it. And so you get some truck drivers and different guys with CDLs that are like, you just need to stay on isolate because there's an issue, you don't want to pop, even though you're not getting high, you know what I mean? It still has some THC in it and stuff like that. So there is an education with it, and figuring out what's best and what works for somebody, and, that kind of thing. But the emails that you get, that the people that you're helping, and there's just like this little lady that tunes our kids' pianos. Her husband comes in and does that, and she's going through, I guess, double breast cancer, and all this radiation and all this chemotherapy and all this stuff. And she's like, I can't find anything that works for me. And she started trying our stuff, and you just give her the stuff, just because it's like it just helps her, and she's just like, it's changed her life. That's and awesome. It makes what I mean.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, just stuff like that. Though you're just like, man, even if we've only changed a handful of people's lives, you know what I mean? Like that's huge to me. You know what I mean? So. Because I'm definitely not getting rich doing it, you know what I mean? So I've spent more money than we made.
Like 10 years, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're going to be in the CBD business for a while. But
so are you growing? Do you have any plans?
Honestly, I mean, we just rented out our greenhouse to like a little nursery. They're doing some flowers and stuff like that. But we just have so much oil that, like,
Did
I had
you get
no
rid of
idea.
All the buds gone? You just
we still have a bunch of flour that we have vacuum sealed and stuff, but like, I'm probably going to just turn it into some oil, send it down a processor. We have our own lab and stuff, but we don't have a centrifuge, so we can't take the green stuff into an oil. But once we got the oil, we have all these machines that refine the oil and make it better and take all the impurities out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I mean, we spent $500,000 on those machines and stuff, but we're making a lot of isolate and different things like that. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of like, we can't sell. We have so much of it. You know what I mean?
How much like isolate does it take? Like say for a balm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I said, 900. You can make 900 products off of 1 liter of oil. So a liter, is
it's not much.
Not much, but it's crazy how much it takes such little amounts. So. Looking back, I would have probably just grown 5 acres of this stuff and been like, we did like 300 acres. So,
You didn't bit much, Matt.
Yeah, we kind of jump into the pool whether there's water there or not. Dive in head first, right?
Yeah. Dude, when you were back there and you were talking about it, I knew the stretch of land. I drive by it every day.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's a lot.
Well, and those
CBD.
plants were so huge, right? We had 9-foot plants, you know what I mean, and stuff that were like, there's stems on them that were the size of your wrist, and you're going like, how do we chop this down? And you know what I mean, like like it was bogging up these corn choppers that I had, you know what I mean, and it's just like it got to the point to where we went out there with machetes and we cut the stalks off of them and windrowed this stuff like we were going to chop it up like hay, and just. It was just like, this is ridiculous.
It's gonna take a minute.
Yeah,
it's gonna take a while.
And you're like you're inventing the wheel like for the first time. So that business, everything was changing. No one knew how to do this, how to process this stuff, how to get it ready to make it into oil. I mean, you're talking
but they knew how to steal it, right?
Oh man, yeah.
You went through some stuff.
Oh,
I remember
man.
talking to you. You're like, "Hey, dude, we
had a guy that was so you try to do everything the right way, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, we had temp service out there because it took about 40 people to manage that type of acreage, and to top and lollipop and trim and water and fertilize and all this other stuff. So it's just one of those things where you're like, well, let's not hire any illegals to do this right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, we'll go through this temp service. Well, like anything else, these guys that are in these temp services, this one kid, he's either the bravest dude in the world or the dumbest criminal in the world. He robbed us 4 times, so shame on us, But
Damn.
yeah, 4 different times. One time we didn't even know about it. We went back through the cameras. They were like, yeah, we have a cell phone that says he was here at this time. And we're like, sure enough, yeah, there he is robbing us, So didn't even know it, And so, but, ended up catching it. But he worked at on the temp service to scope the place out, and come back and kicks the doors in. And back then it was kind of when COVID was going, so everybody's masked up and everybody's got a hoodie on, and they found him at a gas station, and it was already.
What was he trying to do?
Well, he was basically, what you do is you take the flower, it smells like weed, smokes like weed.
Oh, he was pawning it off.
Yeah,
like it was
he was mixing it in. He was running up to Maryland and mixing it in with I was like, dude, because we were trying to sell it. I was like, you should have just came to me and I would have sold it to you at a discount price and you wouldn't have to steal it. You know what I mean? So it's just, he wouldn't been in prison now,
Dang,
but end up, he's looking at 22 years over it,
Dang,
so.
he got that.
Yeah, well, he was already a convicted felon on parole, had to be on the temp service, showing that he was trying to work, so had some priors, that kind of stuff. So just a kid that, like I said, either the bravest dude in the world or the dumbest criminal in the world, because he kept coming back.
Combo, bro. It was a wicked combo,
yeah,
brave and stupid.
And so, I mean, unfortunate, situation. But yeah, we've had a couple people steal from us. We're right there beside the interstate, so people could see it, and they'd hop the fence at the interstate, cut a couple plants down, drag them in the car, and run off. It's just like.
Luckily, you did.
Well, that guy, he left his cell phone, so we ended up finding his cell phone in the field. So another dumb criminal move, right?
Yeah, that was definitely on the side of dumb.
Yeah. So we're like, oh, so here you go, Mr. Such and Such. Like call him up, and and like contacts out of his phone, and then.
Damn it.
So it's just kind of like, I'll give you your phone back if you give us our plants back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, you can't make that shit up.
I
dude.
know, man. That's crazy.
So you mentioned the cattle stuff. I tell you, dude, that's some good meat.
Oh man,
Matt has good meat.
Yes, yes he does.
Oh man, I don't know if that sounds all right coming from you, bro, but like,
yes,
it's just for me, it's about offering people. What people don't realize, man, is that when you go to the grocery store, like Food Line's owned by this different. It's owned by these folks out of I think it's. Where is it from? Anyway, well,
yeah,
it's not from our country. They're not owned from the US, like Food Line's not.
Yep.
But you have all this beef that's imported, right? Like, and people don't realize that the beef changes hands 6 times before it ever hits your dinner table, right?
I had no clue.
Yeah, well,
what is it? Is it like?
Well, so yeah, you have the like cow calf, and then you have feed yards, and then you have finishers and packers, and then it goes from there to the grocery stores or like restaurants, and they select them and grade them and all that kind of stuff. But it changes hands a bunch of times. Whereas like our beef, it's raised and grown there on the farm, and then it gets slaughtered, and then it goes right to your freezers, that kind of stuff. So. And there's no antibiotics and hormones put in it and all that kind of stuff.
So none of the stuff. I saw you posted something about that can't be freaking real.
Oh, where they're putting the vaccine in the beef and stuff. Yeah.
Is that real life?
I don't know. I mean, if it is, it's
like the tube meat that they're making too.
Yeah,
the fake meat.
Oh,
the
like
tube,
with the
test tube meat.
Bill Gates is doing all the test tube meat and stuff like that. And
what are we doing?
That's why we're so unhealthy. We're such an unhealthy.
Well,
it's
crazy. Like I'm kind of jumped down rabbit holes. Like I'm kind of conspiracy theorist, but is it a conspiracy if it's proven right?
Right.
Chemtrails, like I go through the whole thing. Like, we can't hide,
well,
bro.
actually, like Bill Gates is doing that, from what I hear, to try to help with global warming. He wants to block the sun out, so they're trying to like. I guess so. We don't increase the global warming.
I'd hate for that vitamin D to get in
there and everybody have a little sunlight, But
and that was one thing that was noticed with a bunch of the people that had the severe cases of COVID is a vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah.
Well, that's like when they shut my gym down, and it's like this was a lung and respiratory virus, and it's like you needed to be moving.
Yeah.
I mean, gyms were the last one to open up.
Yeah.
I mean, and like named the worst place to be, and it's like that mentally and physically is what people needed during that time.
And they would tell people, don't get up,
don't
rest.
work out,
It's
don't
like,
go to the
that's
gym.
what you do.
You got to move.
Get those lungs,
cardiovascular disease.
Yeah.
You know,
It blows my mind, man.
Yeah.
How did we make it through that?
I think the folks that there's plenty of folks that just listened to the media and got scared and just there was several folks I knew that I was like, you're not going to die from COVID. You're going to die from Lysol. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much. You know what I mean? Like, you're overdoing it. Yeah. So, I mean, there's that, you know what I mean? But I think, like, what do you believe in? What do you not believe in? What's real and what's not real? It's like, just because it's on the internet, is it really real or is it not? You know what I mean? You have to just take it all in and kind of, have some common sense, I think.
That's the thing. Like, I have way less, like, I never really trusted. We know the government's just big money and it's who can pay who and who gets the best gig and who's, rebuilding Iraq, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I have never trusted the government less as I do now. After being fed that crap for so long.
Yeah. And I almost lost my gym. I mean, it was rough.
People, I mean, think about all the people in the medical industry, what you do. What you do.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got paused. What the music industry? If I was in the music industry,
I was shut down for 6 months. 6 months, and I went from 850 members to currently I'm at 4. Like,
no
and
way.
I don't know where they went. I mean, people just stopped working out. They worked out at home, or
and everybody, it's been. I guess up until now, there was you're gonna get, now you will, but. I guess they've been allowing people to draw off their 401k with no penalty.
Really?
Yeah, people were making.
Where's everybody at? Where they're just taking it out of their 401k. But I guess now,
people were making more off unemployment than they were at their jobs.
That too.
So they were just pulling because nobody's working.
Yeah, it's insane, man. We have a society in kids now. I remember when we were growing up, it's like every teenager worked at a grocery store or they, had a job at Hills or somewhere. And now you see, it's like, you don't see the workforce like when we were growing up, man.
I know. Yeah, my boy works at Food City, and it's one of those things. I know he could be over at the dealership with my dad and stuff like that. But like, you want to start him off at some place that's not like, your dad's the boss or this or that. You know what I mean? So it's just like he needs somebody to this is real life. You know what I mean? Like, you get through that, then we'll bring you over to the dealership and we'll figure out. You start appraising cars to the wholesale lane or whatever it may be. But you got to have. That type of mentality of these kids still need to work. They still got to be out here, and this whole hand it out to you, give it to you for free. It's just, I just think that is such a, a disjustice to our young people in this world.
We're in a bad place.
Yeah. Man. There's such satisfaction when you work for something and you accomplish a goal and it comes together and you've worked hard for that and you can see it. To the end, and it's like, I did that. You know what I mean? And there's so many people and kids out there now that are just like, and there's nothing wrong with it, I guess, but it's just like, my boy was telling me 75% of the people that come through, the grocery store, they got EBT cards. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and I get it, it's tough out there, man. You know what I mean? Not everybody makes crazy money.
But they've made it
too easy to do that. You know what I mean? And it's just like. Don't get me wrong. I work hard for my money, and you want it to go to places that need it. But like, there's a lot of places that it goes that don't need it. You know what I mean? And
I've seen people go through and eating better than like I am.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
how's this work?
Yeah. Red Bull. Like I see like stickers on the shelf. It's like EBT approved. Yeah. And it's like the most expensive like energy drink.
Yeah. Right.
And you're like.
Do we really? Yeah. Should we be subsidizing this?
Yeah. It's not necessary, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? I get like
it used to be like it was an embarrassment to do that, right? Yeah. Like you were almost like you didn't want to,
use that card,
use those food stamps or whatever because it's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But now it's just like a credit card and it's normal business as usual every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Some people really need that help, you know what I mean? And God bless them for it, you know what I mean? And if they're in a bad spot, but like, there's a lot of people that just play the system, and it's their system's fault. It's not the people's fault, right? Yep. People are going to take advantage 100%. Of whatever's there that they can do. That's why, I have people that I know that don't get married because they don't want to, you know, pay for their kid that they're about ready to have, you know what I mean? Because they're on Medicaid or Medicare, or I don't even know what it is, but you know what I'm saying?
I do.
They work the system, but the system allows it to happen, right?
Yeah.
So it's not shame on the people, it's shame on the system, you know what I mean?
Yep.
For not having, you know, social workers in place to really check people, or let's pay some social workers some real money, you know what I mean? Like, have someone in there that really cares about their job, that really is like, these people really need it, and no, these people don't. It's kind of like when I was pulling a calf, I had some heifers I bought, and their first time calving out, so some of them have an issue, you know, and I was over there, I was damn elbow deep in this damn heifer, you know, and I was just trying to get this calf out of her so the calf would survive and the heifer would survive. And you got chains on the back of the leg, and you're pulling your ass off, and the cow's like getting down, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna lose this cow, and I got to get this calf out of her. And this guy come down the road, and he was one of my neighbors, and he was like, hey, you want some help? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great, you know. And I was like, dude, I'll get you a case of beer if you help me out. I just got to get this calf out of this heifer here, you know. And he was like, yeah, okay, yeah. So he gets in there, he's pulling his ass off. We're all greasy and fucking slimed up. And, you know, but then this lady walks down the road, and he stops. And I was like, what's the deal, man? Like, come on, we almost got this done. Like, let's keep going. He's like, no, man. He's like, I'm on disability. And he's like, if this lady sees me, or if somebody reports me, he's like, I won't get my disability, or somebody will check into me. And I was just like, dude, get out, I go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you know, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Stuff. He's capable and able to help me pull this calf out of this cow. You know, but like scared to death that someone's going to see him doing something or working hard. Man. You know what I mean? So he would lose his disability. You know what I mean? So it's just like there's that fine line of like, you know, like, you know, like let's just be real, dude. If you can work, let's work. You know what I mean? Like,
so we've shifted to rewarding the weak and destroying the strong.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So now it's like the strong people are penalized by, you know, overtaxing and doing, you know, however you want to look at it. But the weak, it's like, hey, have kids. We'll give you $6,000 a pop.
Like the stimulus check for all the kids.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, there are valid people that need it, but our mental health care needs it.
Oh, my gosh. So here's my thing with this whole homeless deal, right? So, you know, my dad owns this place called, it was a St. Asylum. It's St. Albans.
Oh, he owns that?
Yeah, he owns it. So we do a Halloween deal there. Yeah. Basically, the Halloween, you know, the scare deal that they do there on Halloween, the whole month of October pays the rent for there. You know what I mean?
I bet.
So that's the only reason he hasn't really tore it down and done something else with it. But you know, you go in there, when you walk, I walk through it in the daytime, and there's just like these rooms of newspapers and all this stuff. Like people were just, you know, housed there. But I really feel like that, you know, when we took that away from society, and there's these mental health places that these people can go, these people are on the streets now, you know what I mean? And there's nothing for them. Like, they're just homeless, and they're not mentally capable of working or different things like that. I really think that there should be a shift in our government or some type of funding to help those type of people that, you know, they're not capable, but they're still not, you know, mentally able to take care of themselves either, but they end up on the streets, you know what I mean? And there's just, you know, I still feel like there's a need for those type of places, you know what I mean?
You've been to the West Coast, right?
Oh, it's awful, man. There's places I roll through stop signs.
Oh, dude.
I'm like, I'll take the ticket, you know what I mean? Like, you gonna pull me over? That's fine, but I'm gonna get through here, you know what I mean? Before I, you know, I stop, you know what I'm saying? So it's just the tents and the trash and the folks that, you know, it's
so the tents, when you say tents, right?
By the airport.
Yeah, there's everywhere.
Tents by the airport.
Up here?
No. Well, that's more like Roanoke and stuff like that. But I mean, you see it a little bit everywhere. But out west, man, like California, and just.
So I flew in one night, right? I met the band and everybody up in Portland, right? Mm-hmm. And I got off. I did my Uber, my typical stuff. Well, I got to the hotel, got checked in, and I was like, I'm gonna look and see if there's some food. I'll just walk and get out. It is a nightmare there, dude. You know, for once, you know, I typically try to fly and check a weapon if I possibly can. Yeah. Or I'll send it with the bus and catch up with that. And be good.
So you always have something.
Yeah. And man, that was the first time where I was like, I'm not scared of life.
Don't feel uneasy.
But out there, I was like, this is dark. This is wet. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, and it was. I mean, there was tents and like all sorts of that stuff. And in LA, you know, we did a bunch of stuff there.
Yeah.
Just tent city.
And it's just, I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but there's just a lot of folks that, probably shouldn't be on homeless, but there's a lot of folks that just they're not mentally capable of doing what they need to do to not be homeless. You know what I mean? So what do you do for those people? That kind of stuff. And
Funding,
I think,
man.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where to see it, and for these cities and these places to be okay with it, you know what I mean? Like, I think Austin, Texas has done a good job of cleaning up their homeless population, and putting them up in hotels and getting them off the street and finding jobs for them and locating them and different things like that.
I didn't know they did
that.
Oh, yeah. I love Austin,
so,
man. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very, it's a beautiful place and their economy is booming and, it's kind of like Florida, you know what I mean? Like, it's just very proactive about a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of places in these Democratic run cities that they just, here you go, this is what it is. Like, it's chaos and it's just bad. It's doom and gloom and there's nowhere for these people to go and there's nothing for them to do. And, it's just, it only gets worse, right? So
and decriminalizing stealing and shoplifting and all this stuff. It's like, what are we?
How do we not hold people accountable?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's so funny. Like, I was in Vegas 2 years ago and we were in a CVS and this guy comes in and you could tell he's homeless, but he's like point out, I forget what it was. It was not Budweiser or something like, but it was like a spiked tea or whatever it was.
Mike's
he's
Hard.
Yeah, Mike's Hard or something like that, right?
Farm.
He's like, it's like pointed out, like because he was just having a hard time picking. I was like, oh, they're right here, man. And so he picks up 3 of them, just walks out, and I was just like, oh man, did I just help this guy shoplift? You know what I mean? Like, I felt bad. I was like, should I go tackle him? You know what I mean? And I was like, oh well, this is Vegas, like,
Dude.
you know what I mean? So it's just kind of, it's like, but nothing was said. The lady was like, sir, and then he walks out, and pops them open, starts pounding them. You know what I mean? And nothing was said, nothing was done.
Unreal.
It blew my mind. You know what I mean? Like,
how's
truly
that
blew,
okay, bro?
Like, if that happened here, someone would have clubbed this dude in the head. You know what I mean? Like or tackled him coming out of the door. You know what I mean? So it's like, but that's just the norm there. You know what I mean? They're like, oh well, it's only 3 beers. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like those 24 ounces. You know.
And then you wonder why the businesses, are struggling and why nobody wants to work.
Yeah, but I was like, did I just help this dude shoplift? I was like, I pointed him out to him. You know what I mean?
See on the arrest report, Matt Hagan, offense, Mike's Hard Limit.
Yeah. I was like, this is not cool. Yeah.
So how many heads of cattle you got right now?
Oh man, so close to 1,600 right now.
Shit,
so
not bad.
Yeah, well, a lot of them are feeders. You know what I mean? We keep about 600, 700 mama cows. And we've been buying a lot of cattle to feed. We've been, kind of growing and chopping corn and stuff. And so it starts to add up pretty quick, as far as when you buying a 4-weight steer and you're raising them out to, 8, 9 weights. So you're only keeping them 4, 5, 6 months, and feeding them. And then you turn them over, you kill them, or, we take them up to 1,300 pounds. But I don't kill all of our cattle, you know what I mean, for our beef company. Our beef company is very small. I'm very limited and bottlenecked to kill dates. So there's only so many kill dates with an FDA facility. So that stamp of FDA approval, I have to have on my meat before I can send it out of state or ship it to anyone that we go. But there's only so many FDA kill facilities around. And we drive 2 hours to get to Seven Hills where we kill most of our cattle at. And, but they only have so many open dates. So that as many cattle as you have, that's great. But it gets bottlenecked down to our little beef company of how many kill dates can you have, and that's how much beef you can sell.
That makes
sense.
Know
what I mean? So it'll never be any huge company or anything like that. It's just something that we do to kind of offer a good quality beef to people. And people don't understand the difference between grain fed and grass raised and grain finished, and what a lot of these big companies are doing, or big feeder yards are doing. They sell. It's all about weight and how fast they can put. So they inject them with hormones. They're feeding them wheat and barley and just cheap brewer's grain. To blunt. But that taste that you get is totally different.
Way different
than something.
It's
that's
like turkey.
Yeah. It's been corn fed. You know what I mean? And so when you have a head of cattle that you've finished out to 1,300 pounds, it's been grass raised, on its mama. And then you grain finish it, you know what I mean, with corn and soybean and protein and all this other stuff, that is just, it has a dip, it's like the fat is almost like butter, you know what I mean? It just, you can cut it with a fork, you know what I mean?
Wagyu is one of my favorites,
that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the extreme side of it for what we do, but similar, right? It's just the marbleization, all that kind of stuff. But when you go to the grocery store and pick these steaks up, it's just after you've had something that's been grain finished like that, and corn finished, it's this is trash. You know what I mean?
It's
you're
way different.
Yeah, and it's just
so. I'm a supporter of the Matt Hagan brand,
right?
Thanks,
man. Appreciate it.
And I always go over and I get it. You know, I've gotten it. I guess my first pickup was up at the CBD farm.
Okay.
When you guys were running it out of there. Yeah, back in the day. And
now we just have a little place at the mall, and you can order it online, you know?
Yep. I go see Chico. Say what's up to Chico. What's the other, I guess he's...
Hello, Chico.
Hi, Chico. How's the mullet, my friend? But there's another gentleman that has always been super nice. Joe
Hodge.
That's a good dude, man.
Good guy, man.
He is such a good dude.
He decorated my entire house when I was like 19. My first house I ever bought, you know, was a little modular, little 1,500 square foot home, you know. I was a bachelor, and this dude, like, he's super good at decorating and all this stuff. I was like, bro, I need you to decorate my place, man. And it's like, I'm a bachelor, you know, but back then or whatever, and it just kills it all the time, you know what I mean? But just, you know, he's very outlandish and, you know, very him, but like he's a good guy, you know what I mean? Like he's just but got a knack for it, man. You know, he decorates all the stuff at the dealerships and Christmas trees. And,
I didn't know that.
Oh,
man.
He's
so nice.
My family used to have antique stores, and he'd go in and decorate all that stuff, and you know, but just super good guy. Like it doesn't matter. Like he used to run the Dairy Queen for my dad. You know what I mean? Okay. So like he's ready to do anything. You know what I mean? Like you know,
just up for whatever.
At the CBD store now. You know, but has just always been down to help out and pitch in and just, you know, do a great job.
Dude, so. every single time. Here you go, brother.
You have mine.
Okay. Every single time I go in there, the dude is so happy.
Yeah.
He's so nice.
He's nice,
and he is so welcoming.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he's hit me up the other day and actually yesterday and was like, I need you to bring your race car over here to the store. I was like, well, it ain't my race car to bring, and it's all the way in Indy.
Sure,
you know?
give me a second.
He's like, well, we got these Boy Scouts that's going to do a Pine Derby, and he's like, it'd be cool if your car was here. You know, I was like, well, let me see what I can round up. I don't think I can bring my car, but maybe we can get some hats and shirts and stuff away.
Right.
You know? So he's just kind of like always thinking and always like, you know,
man.
but I was like, dude, it don't really work like that. Like, I just don't have my car, you know, to show up whenever I want it to, you know what I mean? But
drive it to the house.
It's like
terrible miles per gallon.
It's a crew of guys that got to get a show car together and all that other stuff. So it just, but it's a good thought. He's just always trying to think about others, and you know, he's like, these little Boy Scouts are coming in, and it would be cool. You know what I mean? So,
dude, Pinewood Derby, like that's where like Matt is sitting in the mecca of Hot Wheels racing right now.
Yeah, this is awesome down here. I really love. I don't know if you guys put it online where everybody can see
we
this.
We do a little bit.
It's cool. Yeah, this is a cool pad down here.
So we have a bunch of. If you see over there in that case, there's a bunch of funny cars. Right, I'm gonna challenge you to a race later.
Right, let's do it.
I'm gonna be the world champion.
Can I back the cars up?
Yeah. Nah, but I guess the biggest thing that has changed, other than COVID and all that stuff, and I know we briefly touched about it earlier, but I love you, man, and I know your mom passed, and I just want to tell you, how did that affect you?
It's tough, man. You know I mean, obviously, I've experienced some loss in my life, you know, with my brother and my mom, and you know, you expect grandparents and stuff like that. You know, been through all that, but like when it's your brother and your mom, and you know, it's just tough, man. Like, you know, I mean, unfortunately, I feel, you know, like, you know, this vaccine kind of got her, you know what I mean? Because she had like...
That's kind of why I wanted to talk about it.
So my mom had a lot of underlying health issues. She's had diabetes, and, you know, with that, she's also had, you know, almost renal kidney failure where she was going to be on dialysis. And then she's also had some liver issues with bloat and water and stuff. So, but that's the kind of stuff that kind of creeps up with you over time and kills you slowly, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And she started getting these vax and stuff because of those health issues. And honestly, you know, went into AFib. When I won Vegas this year, she was in ICU. So I went and saw her before I left for the race, and, you know, came back and saw her after the race. And she was in ICU then and was there for like a week or so. And with AFib, so her heart was beating like 170 beats per minute. So like when I sprint or something, it's like 140, you know what I mean? So put that in perspective of like laying in a bed and your heart's running 178 is what I saw the highest, or when I was there visiting.
Dude, my father-in-law, when we were in Vegas, he had a heart attack, and it stayed at like 200 for some ridiculous amount of time.
Really?
So I mean, they were like, he's running a marathon literally for 48 hours. Yeah.
So she went through that, you know, and then it was maybe a week and a half. You know, my dad found her, you know, passed away in bed, you know, and you know, you can't help but think it's probably some type of stroke or heart attack or something like that. But, you know, and we're talking about it. Nobody wants to talk about it, you know, because all these folks have ran out here and got the vaccine, and, you know, and you're going like, well, we listened to these doctors and we were just trying to protect ourselves. And I don't blame you a bit, you know, especially with folks with underlying health issues and that kind of stuff. But like now all these folks are falling dead, you know what I mean? And I really feel like my mom was one of them, you know? And so
Not
it's
just
tough.
folks like
to,
your mom, but I mean young kids and athletes.
Oh
man.
yeah, I mean I guess this rugby player, and then there was the American Idol guy, and then you had
the football
players, and then all these soccer players, and you know, I mean, on and
Kids,
on and on.
High school,
but
on
that's
the high school.
Well, that's just the celebrities that you're hearing about. Think about all these folks that are falling out. That you know, like my uncle just had 3 heart attacks and a stroke, right? And all within a month after having a couple boosters, you know. And so it's like, is that part of it? But like he's been fine up until then. So like, wow, all of a sudden now, you know. So it's common sense, right? Like so. You know, and people nowadays don't have a lot of common sense, I think, you know, or they it's like that ostrich that puts their head in the sand, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know, the problem's not going to go away just because your head's in the sand. You got to put your head up, pull your head out of the sand, figure out what's going on, do what you can, you know, and I really, you know, my dad's had, you know, several boosters and vaccines and stuff. And, you know, I really hope that you know, I talked to his doctor unbeknownst to him, and I'm just like, hey man, you know, do you mind if you do up like you know, echocardiogram on him and just do some blood work and let's see what his cardiovascular stuff looks like. And he's like, absolutely. He's like, I know I'm overstepping, you know, but I was like, I care about my dad, and like he's very important to me in this community and what he does. You know, they employ 900 people out here, so it's important that he's, you know, functioning and living. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, for me, it's like, whatever, you know, you've done what you've done, but like now what do you do to try to protect yourself, you know, and be healthy and that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of it is,
and there's no rhyme or reason.
No,
right
and
now,
I think
you know?
it's like people have to admit like, okay, there is a problem here, and this is causing strokes, and it is causing people to die. So
blood clots, right?
So how do we deal with this? You know what I mean? And how do we move forward? So it's just like, you know, as much as you want to, you know, listen to the doctors and, you know, stick your head in the sand and say everything's going to be okay, there's a lot of folks that are falling dead left and right. You know, and what's kind of crazy is this Euphrates rivers, man. Like it's a prophecy in the Bible.
Okay.
That as soon as the Euphrates goes dry, that 1/3 of the world's population will you know, cease to exist, and so the Euphrates just dried up or is drying up. So so if you get a chance, man, like check that out.
Dig into that.
Google Euphrates River. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to
and
check
the prophecy.
that out.
I think I forget what it's in Revelations. I think 6:12 or something like that it talks about it. Yeah.
That is okay.
Dude, it's I
It's getting
went down
biblical.
this rabbit hole the other night, and I was like, whoa,
Dude, that's where I live. I'll go on, you know, I'm like, between YouTube and even TikTok, like my TikTok algorithm is hilarious because I'm between like fast cars and like conspiracy theories. You know what I mean?
I'm there, man. I'm there. Like, my search engine page is like, I'm like, all right, you know,
it's confused.
I need to look at something else so I get something pop up out of my Instagram search.
Do we have a 5-year-old kid or an 80-year-old Republican?
Right. Yeah. You know, and you talk about it's kind of crazy. Like, so, you know, I feel like I've kind of gotten shadow banned a little bit, you know, on Instagram.
It happens.
Because I haven't had any growth in a little bit from my Instagram. And it's kind of like, you know, I'm very Republican and I'm very, you know, open-minded, but I do, you know, like a lot of the stuff that you know, the Republicans do and different things like that. But I mean, that's just how I've been raised, and that's my beliefs. And you know, I wouldn't change it for anybody or you know, say something different just to please somebody. You know what I mean?
But followers.
Right? Yeah. You know, so it's just kind of like I'm this old country boy, and it is what it is, and what you see is what you see, and what you got's what you got. You know what I mean? And I'm living my life, and I don't try to push it on nobody else, but this is my beliefs, and same with God and anything else, you know what I mean? Like, you're allowed to believe and do as you so choose, you know?
Bro.
And so for me, it's just like, you know, you see these platforms and you're like, you know, you agree with someone, but like the more you start to do that, the less your stuff gets pushed out there, and the less you know what I mean? Like it just like the shadow banning stuff is real. You
it's
know
a
what I
real
mean?
thing.
So, and for us, you know, with driving race cars and being sponsored by different, you know, corporations and stuff, it's like you have to have a growing platform and stuff like that. So it's kind of like it's tough because you feel and believe certain ways, but you almost have to take yourself out of that because, you know, right off the rip, as soon as you start doing that stuff, you divide half of the people away from you. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I don't like this guy now because he believes this way or he thinks this way. You know,
and it wasn't like that until 2008, maybe, right?
Right.
Was that, you know, there's been a great divide ever since then. And now it's like, you're either right or you're wrong. You're either with me or against me.
Yeah.
Friends or enemies. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit what you do. Don't force it down my throat. Don't make me pay for it. Cool.
We're good. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You, right?
Yeah, you do you. And
we grew up without social media and we made it through.
Yeah. You know, could you imagine like in the 80s, the rock stars of the 80s?
Yeah. I think as soon as cell phones came out, you know what I mean? It was like everybody quit doing cool stuff because they
There's no proof. There's no proof.
There's proof now.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's just like,
well, let's take a minute and we'll take a break for our sponsors and we'll be right back.
Scrab-a-dab-dab-dab-dab-doo. It's time for a commercial or two, y'all.
This episode of Commotion Podcast is brought to you by Thacker Real Estate Group. With over $100 million in sales experience, I guess you could say we love what we do. We're servicing the New River Valley, the Roanoke Valley, and beyond. Whether you're buying or selling a home, we've got specialists just to guide you and to help you along the way. Hit us up on the web at www.thackerrealestategroup.com or give us a shout, 540-391-0797. Bam!
That boy knows what he's talking about. We'll see ya.
All right, we're back. So we were just talking about country music, you know, and how funny it is and how you know, Morgan Wallen, you're a fan.
I am, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Why?
Love his music.
Okay, that's a good reason. You know, but in country music, it's like, you know, he had some things he said.
He had some issues, yeah.
He bounced right on back.
Yeah.
It didn't even
Well, they
bother
tried to
him.
cancel culture, man, and it just, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, he's like, I'm out here doing me, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But,
listen.
Yeah,
you know?
people like, for him, it's his music. Like, for me, it's his music. I could care less what he does outside of his music.
Yep.
It's just the music.
Yep. Dude, I fired up Hardy, right? Have you heard his new album? The Mockingbird and the Crow?
I haven't heard that one, though, but I know Hardy, though.
Do yourself
for sure.
a favor, dude. Yeah. Like, you know, I was skeptical. I'm always skeptical. In country music, the last 5 years, it was bro country. Stop. For the love of Pete, please stop. Right. You know, but some of it, okay, I get it, you know. But Hardy came through with the Mockingbird and the Crow. And the premise of the album is the Mockingbird was him giving the fans and country music what they want.
Yeah.
Mockingbird. And the Crow is being the outsider, the outlander. And he brings in some metal musicians.
Really?
And they freaking throw down, dude. I was like, do yourself a favor. Throw the second half on a playlist and get ready to be like, oh, you know how people do those fan reactions?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where'd this come from?
Yeah. So one of the songs he has is 30-06, right?
Okay.
And is that
I haven't
hum
heard
back?
that one. I didn't hear hum.
I don't know where that oh well. Well, we got a hum now. It's all right.
It's all good. Now it's gone away. No, it's a little
we're back. Okay.
A little bit of hum.
But it's basically the premise of it is like he and his old lady get into it and they have this argument and she thinks like she's going to take his hunting gun, his 30-06, and, you know, that's going to change, you know, they go pawn shop and do all this stuff. And he's like, what's 130-06 to a redneck? You know, he's like, I got plenty of them.
Right. Yeah.
So when you're pumping, man, when you're working out, what are you listening to?
So, you know, listening for me is just probably just put it on Octane 37, you know what I mean? Just, you know, in the gym. It's just more background noise than anything, to be honest with you.
I couldn't tell you. I'm the same. When I worked out hard, I'd think I've got this playlist that's going to fire me up, and I don't even remember, you know, listening to a bit of it.
So it's so funny. Flex Wheeler, he's a friend of mine, and, you know, obviously huge in the bodybuilding industry, and, you know, not to be name dropping, you know, Phil Heath and all those guys, you know, they come out to the races and hung out and stuff. But taking a note out of Flex's page is like really the mind muscle connection. Like like even it doesn't matter how much weight you're doing, it's just thinking about, you know, the mind muscle to it. Like if you're doing bench press and really squeezing the blood into your chest and that kind of stuff. So like the music to me almost becomes background because you're trying to connect your mind to that muscle. Yeah. And they say that you're, you know, obviously the more blood you pump in there, the more, you know, and for me, I'm old, I'm 40, you know, so like the days of maxing out and doing all this heavy stuff is crazy, but I do like 6 working sets, you know, of one, you know, type of movement, and you do 12 to 15 reps, you know what I mean? So
hypertrophy almost.
yeah, you try to get to failure, and then you do a back off set, you know what I mean, from there. And I got a trainer this year because like I thought I was training, you know what I mean, and I've come to find out that I'm not really training the way I thought I should be. And but it takes that, it takes someone to sit there and tell you, oh, you got 3 more left in you, because when you do it by yourself, it's like, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like
I've tried home gym stuff, man, and I just can't get fired up. I don't know why. Even just changing places, I felt like I could just do so much better. My focus was better. I don't know why.
You get too distracted at home. That's like, so my gym's group fitness, so we lead them, and that's people, they come 50 minutes, I tell them what to do, they leave, versus at home you get distracted, you don't push as hard, or if someone's in your face yelling, you're going to go and do it.
And some people, like my buddy back in Nashville, who's a strong man, 320 in my size.
Oh, wow.
Like pulling 800, just monster. That's the only way he could do it.
Really?
I mean, he would work out, he's correctional officer,
Yeah.
And I can't. Like, I go over here, I've got like treadmill, full weight
Everything
set, full
up,
deal, and I'll go in there and I'm like, I
yeah.
just can't get into it.
It's hard to self-motivate.
Well, and it's just, it's like she said, it's so hard to self-motivate, but then like, it's so easy to pick your phone up and be like, oh, well, I'm going to see what's on Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, I spent 2 hours in the gym when I was like, man, I could be done here in 45 minutes. You know what I mean? But, like, it's just that.
Get distracted.
That you want that endorphin hit of the Instagram or whatever. You
and
know?
I can't remember who said it, because I was in it hard for a while, and I was like full like Rich Piana motivation.
Oh,
like 5%.
Yeah, 5%. Yeah, I'm sorry, I had it wrong.
And it was like if you have the strength to look at your phone in between sets, you're not working hard enough.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well, so
I don't
now
know if I've ever worked that hard.
Yeah, so I mean now, like, my sessions every morning are like an hour, and I don't even check my phone. Like, it goes by so fast, and then like there's no rest in between, and it sucks because like I probably should do a lot more cardio than I do, but it's just one of those things where you're just nonstop, and then you look up and the hour's up, and you're like, man, and you're just spent. You know what I mean? Like and that's the difference between like really working out and not, but that's paying somebody and being accountable for the money you're spending, right?
And there's something to be said about that, man.
Yeah.
Because I know, as motivated as I am to feel better, I've been a piece of absolute trash ever since I hurt my back. I haven't been able to do anything.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's not mental. I mean, working out's obviously physical, but it's a lot of mental. Like, it gets in your head, or you feel sluggish, or you get depressed, and so then you're depressed, so you don't work out. It's just a vicious cycle.
And it's a complete life change.
It is.
Like, it's a mindset. Not only is it a mindset, it's a kitchen set, 100%.
Yeah, a lot of people get agitated, irritated, where when you work out and you release those endorphins, you just feel better.
We did, man. Me and my wife, before we had our kids, it was life, bro.
Yeah.
We were just killing it, doing it. Even I was working in Nashville, in like a 24-hour fitness type situation, and just it's all I needed, because I'd get in there and I'd get focused, and that mind muscle connection, that's what I did. I'd find it, and then I'd just focus on that contraction.
Yeah.
And that
and
release,
so
man.
for me, like I always thought, well, if I'm moving the weight, then I'm doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
Well, so this guy Kinley that's training me now, it's more about, he's like, your negative is way more important than your positive.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And slowing it down, and it's like, now that I look at people in the gym and they're just pushing the weight as fast as they can and letting it flop back, it's like, man, you're doing yourself such a disjustice. But I was the same boat, right? Like, I didn't know. Like,
did you get hurt ever doing that shit?
Yeah. I mean, I'm there's constantly always I'm dealing with stuff, but and then it always comes down to me being an ego. It's an ego thing, like,
ego
do
lifting,
this,
bro.
and it's like
I can't go in those big gyms because it's like those memes where you see people doing crazy stuff. I can't do it. I just
Dude.
What are you doing?
Dude, my thing is my joints just didn't keep up with my muscles.
Yeah.
Like my like tendonitis and shit like that.
Man, I'm telling you what, I just
bro.
started looking into the stem cell deal, and actually in Vegas coming up in April, I got an appointment with a doctor just to do they basically now they can do like they pull fat, like they pull a section of fat out of your stomach, and then they'll spin it, and they'll be able to take these stem cells from your own body and they put it in like an IV, and then it goes to the places that need healing, you know, your
No
joints
way.
and all. Yeah, so it's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I've always wanted to go down to like Panama or whatever and just do the stem cell stuff, you know, and just never could afford it or never had the time. And now it's starting to get more available in the United States, and it's not so taboo and all this other stuff. But, you know, unfortunately in the United States, we don't fix anything, right? We have a medication to help mask this. You know, I think I saw something on you know, the internet a while back that there's like 250,000 drugs out there, and other than penicillin and stuff, they don't cure anything.
I sent that to you.
Yeah,
I sent that to you.
That's
I remember seeing it.
insane.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I remember seeing that.
nothing cures it. You know, so we're not.
Everybody
America's
just wants
not
to
in
take
the-
a pill. Everybody just thinks
Well,
I'll
it's
just
not
take
in
a
the
pill.
business of curing anything, because if you cure it, then there's no money in it, right? So it's
True.
like, here, take this to help this, or to ease this, or to
Do you think
whatever.
we'll,
you know?
I mean, do you think we'll ever cure like the massive things like, you know,
Cancer.
Cancer, obviously,
Yeah.
you know,
so
but
much
like,
money in it, man. I mean,
No.
that's what I'm saying. You think
That's-
about all the research centers.
Or the
and-
fitness. I mean, fitness, same thing. If there was a pill, you know, to lose
but
weight.
shame on these doctors, because I go into these hospitals and see these kids that truly are suffering, and you know, you're just trying to put a smile on their face, right? Like,
Bro, yeah.
these Raleigh Kids places that we go and we donate and do a lot of, you know, fundraising and stuff for. And if there is a cure and there is, you know, some way to help these kids, and there's just, you know, like, you walk out of that place and you call your kids, you know what I mean? Like, you are so grateful that they're happy and they're healthy, and you know what I mean? Like, there's just, you you get down on your knees and you thank God, you know what I mean?
bro.
Like, that your family is healthy, you know? And so shame on these doctors and shame on these people if there is a cure for this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And it's money driven, and they haven't done that kind of stuff,
There's a
because
special place in hell.
right,
If people know about this.
I
Yeah.
agree, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
well,
you
didn't
know,
we just listen? What were we listening to that they were talking about the other, like the vax? Like, if they can make another vax, then there's more money. Weren't
one
we
of
just
the
listening?
Pfizer guys was talking
Yeah.
about mutating the virus so they could have more vaccines
to
and
make more money.
different things like that. But you know what I mean? I guess someone was recording him at dinner and he looked a little drunk or whatever and was saying stuff that he probably shouldn't say.
What tells the truth?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, well,
But
it's alcohol you're
that's-
feeding me,
Kids
man.
drunk, kids drunk people in yoga pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. But you know, I mean, so much of this stuff is money driven, and it's just unfortunate, you know, because it just is not necessary. And if there's, you know, it's just greed. It's just, you see it so much now, you know. I mean, it's crazy.
So let me tell you something about one of my favorite people, and I'm not going to mention any names, but in Nashville, we have a couple people that we consider family, like true Christians, good faith, good families, hardworking individuals. Well, he got diagnosed with cancer, a certain form of cancer, and he started going through the process of trying to find, you know, homeopathic ways to take care of this. And through prayer, divine intervention, and happenstance, he found somebody that said, hey, I went through the same thing. Here's a protocol of normal, natural things that I went through. And it included, like, it was expensive, like the $1 million shake or something is what it was called. All these Epsom salts and salt baths that were like, they basically floated and detox and, you know, all of these things. He went through it, thousands and thousands of dollars. They told him, they were like, this, you know, this is just what it is. You know, we're going to do our due diligence. And he was like, no, he was like, I'm going to try to heal.
Yeah.
He healed himself without anything other than natural, the shakes, the diet change, the anti-inflammatories. Because, you know, cancer is, it's just a, it's
well, it's a
just
mutation of a cell that's basically kind of, you know, a bad cell that keeps replicating, right? You know, so
starve it.
Yeah.
Starve the cell.
Versus feeding it, like
Exactly.
the medication.
And he's cancer free, man.
That's awesome. That's a great
crazy.
story.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, so to
Great
me,
story.
like, that just tells
Well, hopefully
me
that guy, if he's in Nashville and you know him and he's famous, hopefully he has a platform to speak on it. You know what I mean?
he isn't famous.
Oh, okay.
But I have spoken to another friend whose wife is going through it, and this is the freaky shit, right? So, my friend that was a fiddle player, his wife has gone through it, and how these two people know each other in such a big place, they came together again through happenstance and through weird circumstances, that they became friends, not knowing that I was a mutual friend with both of them.
Wow.
And they've started that for her.
That's
So
amazing.
it's just like a weird.
How's she doing with it?
She might have waited a little long, and she is kind of, from what I've heard, she's a little bit scared of the process,
right?
To commit to it.
Man, I tell you, it's like, when you get backed in the corner and it's, here's your options. You know what I mean? Like, I'm that blink once for water, blink twice for food kind of guy, man. I'm just like, all right, let's do this, whatever it takes. You know what I mean? So I mean, you trust your doctors, but I'm that type of dude. I'm trying anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you say it works, let's go, let's try it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a liver survivor. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? So,
get the milk.
Yeah, you start seeing me blinking, man. Like, what's up? I'm over here trying to survive. You know what I mean?
I'm just living.
Let's go. So, yeah.
I was gonna tell you, man. So throughout, I think it was when we had our first podcast, right? I had a couple people reach out to me, and it's like, hey, Matt, Matt, and one of the guys had told me, I don't think I ever told you this. I should have texted you this, but I'm an asshole. He was like, Matt came and visited one of my friends who was in the hospital. Don't know where. He didn't say anything, but he said, just to tell you thank you, that it actually cheered them up, made them forget for a minute.
Yeah, man, it's about putting a smile on somebody's face and just trying to get them to forget for a minute, like, how bad life is treating them, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're never not going to change their situation for them, but, like, it's just being real with someone and just realizing that they're human and they're going through something that's tough, and you just have to break it down to just being like, you don't treat them weird because they're in, the hospital or they're going through some, like Flex Wheeler, man. Like, when I won Vegas, he had just had his leg amputated and it was in a dark spot.
I didn't know he had it.
Yeah. So he had some kidney diseases and different things, and they took some veins out of his leg to put back up into, his, I guess, some blood flow into his kidneys and different things like that.
Okay.
And long story short, ends up amputating his leg, and I won Vegas that weekend, and, so I went over to the hospital, give him my trophy, you know what I mean? And the guy breaks down crying, you know what I mean? This is a super huge person in the bodybuilding world, right?
Dude,
like, he's just, but like to have him, be so appreciative that someone took the time to come over and just spend the day with him and, like, give him one of my trophies and stuff like that. Like, the guy, like, it just meant a lot to him, you could tell, you know what I mean? And that's what it's about, right? Like, it's just, you're in a dark place, and if I can just, for 30 minutes, just take your mind off of it, and we can bullshit and treat you like a normal dude, and, like, knowing that you're going to get through this and you're going to be okay, and you know what I mean? Like,
we're all human.
We're a guy that is just, his whole life has evolved around what he looks like and who he is, and, being this strong superhero guy, and they just chopped your leg off, you know what I mean? Like, and just such a devastating, day for this guy, you know what I mean? So, and then having to learn to rewalk and a fake leg and all this other, so, you know that they're going to go through, but, like, just taking the time to do that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? You just, if you can do it, you should, you know what I mean? Like, 100%. That kind of stuff.
And you do, like, you are the most humble man that I know. Like, he's this race car driver, but when he's out, he's not name dropping, or he doesn't act like he's this big, famous person, but he'll be the first one to give a shirt off his back or help anybody.
Well, the thing is, like, you hope someone does that for you, right? Because you're going to have some dark days, right? And you're going to go through some stuff in your life, and you hope you've built enough relationship with people that they care enough about to come back, and when you're going through that, like, they want to support you and want to be there for you,
So that brings up something. Let's just say you're talking about dark days and whatever. What do you think? Another race car never happens. CBD goes away.
Right.
Farming is no longer needed. We're biochemically engineered to not need food.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
What is Matt?
Man, I've never really felt like racing was going to define my life. Like,
Good.
It's just, there's so many opportunities out here in life, and with what my dad does and different things like that. Like, I think it's a part of my life, you know what I mean? And it's something that, for me, like, I'm very blessed to have the life that I have and meet the people that I've met and live the life that I live. And and just, you know, have this beautiful family and kids and stuff, and just very blessed, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you should let one thing define your life, right? Like you always have to be digging, you always have to be working, and you know, I mean, and this is a fact and a realization. Like, you know, I've had teammates that have been race car driver longer than I have, and they're elevator repairman now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like life is tricky, man. Like you think you got to figure it out, and it slaps you right in your ass. You know what I mean? Right in your face. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, you go through life and you just try to do the best you can with what's in front of you, and you make the best decisions, and you surround yourself with the best people you can. And you know, for me, COVID brought that on, as far as like I got to realize there is life outside of drag racing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't think there was, you know what I mean? Like I was like, this is me. It's adrenaline driven, and I'm just like, here we go, like game on. Pull your helmet on, let's go. You know, you throw your mouthpiece in, and it was all about those 4 seconds. You know what I mean? Like that's what I lived and died about. You know what I mean? Like it just all on the line, all adrenaline, all now 300 miles an hour. Like let's go. And you know, COVID, not racing so much, allowed me to realize there's life outside of drag racing. You know, there's other things, because I'm always been farming and with the CBD stuff and trying to learn some of the dealership stuff here and there. But like, you know,
well, what would you want to do?
Yeah,
like, what would you want to do? Like,
you know,
like all this shit's gone, all this cool stuff.
Yeah,
it's done.
Yeah, you know,
completely done.
Honestly, man, for me, it's like, you know, as much as I've done and I've traveled, you know, it's like just being at home, man. Like
you just want to be at the house.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
dude. That's all that matters, dude.
Yeah, you just
so
you
hard.
truly, you know, as much as glamorous as it looks and feels that you're on the road and you're every weekend in a different town and doing something cool. Like, you know, that was cool the first year or two, but like it's a
job,
grind,
bro.
right? You know, and so people are always like, "What are you doing for vacation?" I'm like, "I'm going home." You know what I mean?
House.
Like, yeah, I just want to see my kids. And
it was so hard for my wife to understand that. Like when I got home, she'd want to do something or go somewhere, and I felt like the biggest dick.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, I'm good. You know, like, can we hang out? Well, can we just sit on the couch and catch up on Dexter or something? You know, like
yeah. Well, and honestly, I do have some regrets with my racing career, because I've allowed it to consume me so much that, you know, I mean, anything that you're good at and you win world championships at, like you have to be consumed by it, right? Like you have to be all in. It can't be like, oh, I'm doing a little bit of this or that. Then you're just average, right? You know, so for me, I've allowed drag racing to consume me so much that, you know, I haven't spent time at the dealership like I have. And there's 900 people there and 42 companies that really depend on that thing to be moving forward. And the community depends on it. There's Growing the Future programs that they give back to schools and kids and fire departments, police departments, all this other stuff, you know, and that this business needs to be moving forward. And, you know, it kind of falls in my lap, you know, like my dad had a chance to sell the dealership this last year and decided not to, you know what I mean? And really could have checked out with some crazy amount of money. But but at the end of the day, he's like, I'm not done doing what I got to do. But, you know, for me, I've allowed drag racing to consume me. And, you know, and I haven't taken the time to learn the business over here with my dad. And, you know, he built me an office before I signed my contract with Tony Stewart, and he was like, "Come to work. Like, it's time you put your big boy pants on, and like you're gonna
time to grow up, man.
Yeah, you're gonna work a desk job now, you know." And then I signed a 4-year deal with Tony, and it was just kind of one of those things where you're like, all right, I'm still racing, you know, but it's kind of, you got to be done with it when you're done with it, you know what I mean? And there's so many, you know, people that would trade me tomorrow to be able to drive and do what I do. You know, so I'm like, I have this dream opportunity to do this. It's like, you know, it's hard to stop, you know, but there's the side of me.
Make hay.
Right, when the sun shines.
Yes, yeah.
But there's this also the side of me that's going like, there's so much opportunity at home and you're missing out by being on the road driving a race car that, you know, you got to learn the business, and there's these people that depend on this business to be here. So I get so torn with it because I want to do what's right, but I want to have fun doing it, and you know I want to you know make sure I learn the business to keep it going. And I'm never going to be David Hagan, you know, because he just has a natural gift of being a great businessman and making money, you know. But
so is that when you think about legacy?
Yeah,
you know, racing's gone, all that's gone. What if your kids had to follow in any footstep?
I would say, yeah, definitely the dealership for them. Or I want my kids to be doctors and lawyers and dentists. And my son wants to be a dentist. My little girl wants to be a vet. You know, the two that are little are too little to know what they want to color. You know what I mean? But
me too, man.
They want to be.
Me too.
They want to be a princess.
But I think the legacy is like not so much racing. The legacy is keeping what he's built going. You know, because it provides for so many people. I mean, just his payroll alone was $27 million. You know what I mean? So. No, but I mean,
I'm in the wrong industry.
I need to sell cars, homie.
That's the amount of people that it helps support, and that's families, and that's kids, and that's children, and it's
that's
just
a big thing for the New River Valley.
Yeah. So I mean, when you put that in perspective, I mean, he doesn't like for me to talk about it at all because he's like, nobody, it's tough because he's done so well, but he doesn't, people hate on that, you know what I mean, and it's unfortunate that they do, but. At the end of the day, he's like, you keep my business, and you don't put it out here. But
shit up at your mouth.
yeah, that's right. He's like, you don't post nothing about what we're doing. But but I think to me, it's like trying to keep that going. And there's so many people and families that depend on those businesses to keep going. So I'm very torn a lot of times to keep doing what I'm doing, what I love and enjoy in drag racing, and I'm good at it, man. Like, I mean, it's natural for me. but I'm not good at running a dealership, you know what I'm saying? So that's a scary step for me.
When you flip that switch, though, you will be.
Well, we'll see. But,
I mean?
but there's like, I've never been in that situation. I don't know how to pencil a deal on a car deal. I don't know the F&I side of things. I don't know all the back end things, that takes to run the dealership. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a lot, bro.
There's a lot to it, right? So
imagine.
it's very intimidating to be like, hey, like you're the guy that needs to step up and take over and pass the torch on one day when your dad's done or whatever. So it's kind of like, for me, I'm just like, do I stop racing and get over here and try? But like in my passion in my heart, I'm like, I love doing this and I'm good at what I do.
You gotta keep doing it while you have the chance.
So adrenaline dump, right?
Yeah.
Our adrenaline dumps were different.
Yeah.
My adrenaline dump was...
You get shot at, you know what I mean?
Well, in music. My adrenaline dump was mixing for 20, 40, 50,000 people. That was my adrenaline dump that I had every night. Yeah. That was my dump. You know what I mean?
It is adrenaline.
The fans, the people, the energy, boom, 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 we're going.
Yeah.
And I struggled with that transition of coming back and not
just being an average dude
and not having that every night.
Yeah, like if you got, like in his case, got injured or something, and you were told you had to. That decision's made for you. It's so much easier. But when you're good, like he's such a great driver, it's like you have to keep doing it. Like,
and it's
so
hard
short.
to walk away from that, right? So that's why John Forsey's 75 years old and still drives a race car. You know what I mean?
Because he keeps winning.
So it's adrenaline, right? And that notoriety, and people are patting you on the back, and it's just kind of one of those things where it's like it's tough to give that up because it's an ego stroke, right? Like we all have egos and we all like to be patted on the back and told how great we are and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, is that really what's best for the blessings that you have in front of you, right? So it's like it's I do struggle with that a lot, And it's
You're
like
human, my friend.
Yeah, but like how blessed am I though to even just have those opportunities, right? So
you are,
so it's just you just don't want to, I guess, take them for granted either,
But taking them for granted would be just doing it, walking away, not being like a steward of the sport,
right?
And using what you have only for self gain,
right?
And you don't.
You're a three-time champion for a reason. You're good at what you do.
Well,
have you seen my trophies over there, homie? I mean, give me a break.
But I'm a 3-time champion because of the people around me, right?
There you go.
I mean, so seriously, that's
the mentality that'll make you a 4-time champion.
And that's probably why it's hard to leave too. Is that your team?
Well, it's so cool. I heard a deal about Tom Brady the other day, and it was talking about this guy that trained with him, and the only thing he had read up on his whiteboard was where the Super Bowl was going to be played. And he was like, that's where my final game's going to be. You know what I mean? And that mentality of like
that end goal,
seeing it every day, waking up and training and looking at that whiteboard of, so that's the type of, but that's what I feed on. I love, you know what I mean? Like that's what I want to wake up and, I have set goals for myself and like, I want to achieve like certain things for myself that I've set out. But like, that put it in perspective for me. That like hearing that and seeing that about Tom Brady. I'm not a huge Tom Brady fan, but like at the end of the day, the dude's super successful. You can't deny what he's all right, right?
He does all
you can't deny what he's accomplished, right? So, but those types of things that those people do to put themselves in those situations to get to where they need to go, I've experienced that. And what is really crazy is that no one works on, well, I wouldn't say no one, there's plenty of athletes that do, but there's a lot of people that don't work on their mind game, right? Like, so I've been fortunate enough to work with some sports psychologists and different things, and really kind of put me in some situations to where I'm like, I'm not comfortable with this. Like I had one sports psychologist out there I had to play pretend catch in front of all my peers out on the drag strip in the staging lanes. I was like, what are we doing, dude? Like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to play pretend catch.
That was a game show, man.
Yeah, so it's like, but like, he's like, you put yourself in these situations where you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then when you're uncomfortable, you learn to deal with them and you rise to the occasion and you figure it out, right? So
we
no
had
different
fear
like
inoculation. That was the same deal. We would have to go in, and there was a situation where we had to get somebody.
Right.
And
get
there
tased.
That's but there were like ARs, live fire, live shots, lights, darkness.
When you put yourself in those situations, and it's like being on a high ropes course, if you're afraid of heights, right?
Yeah.
You have to walk that beam. You have to be up on top of that telephone pole, and you're not. But you grow from that.
Yep.
And that's what those sports psychologists taught me is like you have to be in situations where you're uncomfortable to grow, and working on your mind game every day is no different than going to the gym every day. That's what separates. So you look at all these athletes and college and professional sports, what separates them from being just another athlete, it's their mind game.
It's
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, mindset, mind game,
100%.
And working on that every day. And people don't know how to do that, and for me, I've been very fortunate to obviously pick up a lot of sports psychology books and read those, but also work with some really good sports psychologists and just learning to deal with pressure and learning to rise to the occasion. And it becomes a thing where like, this is your opportunity now. Like, let me make this moment for me. Like this is my time to put it in the history books to make so rising instead of going like, oh my God, I don't want to mess up. And what if I do? Like everybody's going to hate me. And like
was there a moment in time when you felt like that kick in? Like,
yeah, it's after I lost my first championship. So I, second year driving for Don, I had a chance to win a championship and I lost it. And all I had to do was show up. There's 4 rounds in a race, and I just had to show up and go 2 rounds. And I'm champion second year driving one of these things. And, I didn't do that. I lost first round, and I had to watch Force win the race to win the championship and to beat me. And that was such a humbling experience for me to watch this guy take away what I worked for all year long because he was better or did a better job than we did. And that feeling for me, like of just someone ripping your heart out and then videotaping it all day long. There's a camera in my face. They want my reaction round by round. And I'm just like, and I didn't do a good job of being a good
right
sport.
Here, right?
You know what I mean? I was just like, get that shit out of my face. Yeah, but like that was a big lesson for me in life too. Like you have to learn to win well and you have to learn to lose well, right? Because everybody was like, oh, he's a crybaby. But I was so involved and I was so emotional about it because I was so invested in it, right?
Yeah, dude.
And to watch it unfold like in not my favor, it was a huge life lesson. But it made me not ever want to have that feeling again, right? So I was going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I don't have that feeling. Yep. And I've had that feeling. I've run it up several times since, but to come back the next year and win the championship and do what it takes to be motivated and driven and good on the starting line and the practice and the effort and all that other stuff. That's what I didn't do the year before that cost me the championship. Yep. You know what I mean? So it's just
it's those a state of mind. Like if you lose sight of the goal or get lackadaisical in the least bit, that's what you see with UFC fighters.
Right.
A lot of times they get so big, they're so focused and they're so good, and then the money comes in and they do the partying and now they've got to deal with Proper 12 and they're you know what I mean? They're doing all this stuff and then they just fall off.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing. That's a hard realization. And some people can't bounce back from that.
Yeah, I've definitely watched some guys that have never won a championship and they've been so close and they just don't ever get there and they probably never will be there.
Always the bridesmaid.
But but it's just like, but there's a mentality difference, you know what I'm saying? And in doing what it takes and finding the people to put yourself around that's going to make sure you're in that situation and you have those opportunities. And it's just learning to deal with pressure too. Like I've seen so many drivers like who'll be in the bathroom and they're puking in the toilet and they're just like, oh my gosh, like we're here and it's like, this is my opportunity. And, you're just
sorry. Sometimes James just goes off. James will get a few cocktails in him and he'll be watching some Tyson.
Yeah.
He'll be getting it going.
But
yeah,
you know,
go ahead.
it's just learning to deal with those situations and pressure, right? You know, and I think no one deals well with pressure, right? And for me, I've learned to simplify it. Like, how do I make this as simple as possible? What do I have control over, right? Like, and this goes with anything in life, with business, with anything that you do. What do I have control over? What can I control? I can't worry about whether my cylinder head guy's putting his head on right or if the bottom end guy's got all the rods torqued. It's out of my control.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I trust them. They're in the positions that they are for that reason. But, like, what do I have control over? And it's not that much. You know what I mean? It's leave on time, keep it in the groove, put the parachutes out, and turn the wind light on. You know what I mean?
I've seen you on that starting line.
You know,
what is it? It's like a trainer?
Yeah.
Do you just damn near punch through the floor every time you do it?
Yeah. You know, so it's like, but when you simplify that down,
Yeah.
you know, the pressure kind of goes away. It's like control what you control and focus on that and be the best you can with that. And everything else has to fall into place because you've surrounded yourself with the best people that you can.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're going to do their job. And if I do my job, then we're supposed to turn the wind light on. You know what I mean? So,
I do, yeah.
And it's just, you know, but that's the same deal with business. That's with life, with everything that you do is a competition, you know, and these kids that are getting these trophies for participation, it's a disjustice, man. You know?
That meme or that video I sent you, there's winners and there's losers.
Yeah. Well, that's great. The coach was like,
Coach.
we're not going to be losers. You know what I mean?
And if your dad tells
If
you,
your dad tells you
I've seen that.
You know,
He's a loser.
He's a
Your dad's
loser. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, but that's how it is. That's life. You know, you come out of the womb fighting for air, right? Like it's a competition to survive.
But you need help sometimes, right? To get that first breath.
Yeah.
And as long as you keep that going, like, I'm gonna breathe, I'm gonna do this, but I might need some help.
Yeah.
You know, to
I
kick
agree,
me on
man.
the way.
You know.
How's the Motor Mile Speedway doing?
You know, he's got it leased out.
On?
So I know SRX series is coming, which is huge. So my boss Tony runs this XRS series, and he basically, I think it was on CBS Sports last year. I think it's going to ESPN this year. I'm not real sure about that.
What
but
is that?
So it's basically these old school drivers. I wouldn't say old school. There's some new champions and different guys in there. You know, I think you had Chase Elliott this year.
So it's
and
oval track.
Oval track, but they
Okay.
race dirt. They race, you know, asphalt. They just get in there and beat and bang. It's kind of like
Shit.
the cars don't run but so fast, but it's
Yeah.
just like, you know, they're just grinding it out, man. You know what I mean? There's like two people that take care of the cars for the whole season, and they're trying to piece all this stuff and duct tape everything back together. And
See, that's
it's
badass, dude.
Yeah, it's
like
a cool
that,
series, man. You know, and I followed Tony to a couple of the races. I think I went to Nashville and just checked it out, and it was cool. You know what I mean? Like, it just, like, you have these guys that have done well in different sports and NASCAR and different things, and he brings them out and he's like throws them in the car, and then, you know, which was really cool to watch my boss, like the second race in, he had this kid snatched up by his collar and was like, I'm going to beat your ass. You know what I mean? You
What was that about?
I think the kid kept pushing him down in the curtain or something like that. And you know, so it was cool to see Tony kind of go off on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I was like, yeah, that's my boss right there. You know what I mean?
That's
But
funny, man.
yeah, it's just, you know, but what a cool series. And so SRX is coming to the Motor Mile this year, which is going to be big.
How big is that track?
So it's a half-mile oval paved. So
Has it changed? Like, has it
I
ever
mean,
changed in
my
size?
pops put in millions of dollars into that place, and you know, the suites are incredible, and he'll never get his money back out of it. But it's just one of those things where now, I think a driving school. I don't know if it's Richard Petty or who. Somebody's driving school is renting it
seeing
now. They're
something
leasing
about-
the tracks out and
Yeah.
stuff. So all that SRX stuff is kind of running through them instead of the Motor Mile and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think they still do some drag racing there and circle track
What about
stuff.
like I think JJ the Boss?
Oh,
what do
yeah.
you think about that, dude?
JJ the Boss. I don't know much about JJ the Boss. What's the deal on that?
Street Outlaws?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I just don't watch
Dude,
TV, man. Like,
So probably the only thing I watch, and I DVR it,
Street Outlaws.
Street Outlaws, bro.
really
Yeah.
So listen, me and you need to get together.
watch some of this stuff, huh?
We need
Or
we
do
need to
this.
Do
Let's
that.
do this.
Do
We
Yeah.
need to do. We need to both.
Well, you gotta make sure the streets. You have some connection with some officers and stuff, so we need to block the streets off and let's go do
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way it started.
Yeah.
Like, it was OG street racing, like we used to
Yeah.
do back in the day. I mean, me and my dudes used to get together, and we'd go out in Reiner or Pilot or somewhere and find a stretch, and we just lay down a little rubber and
Go, huh?
go.
Yeah.
Not on a level that these dudes are doing.
Murder Nova.
And they're pretty much pro
Oh,
mods
yeah.
on like a 10.5 tire or
Basically.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even they started doing big tire.
Oh, big tire, yeah.
Yeah, but
Dude, some of those guys that did 10.5 tire back in the day, I mean, this is probably when I started, you know, I used to run some street stuff, which was like Piedmont Dragway, and we'd run on DOT tire and stuff. And it's just like, you know, I mean, crazy. It's like they wreck every time. It's just a matter of whether you hit something or not. You know what I mean?
And that's what, like, these dudes are traveling all over the place. So JJ DeBoss is with Memphis.
Yeah.
Right? So he's Memphis Outlaws.
I feel so out of loop, dude. I don't watch TV is my problem.
Murder Nova. I can't remember what series.
Sean. Yeah, he's 405.
Well, the guy that partnered with Clay out here, he's one of the guys that there's a guy that like Clay Milliken does stuff with, and he's on Street Outlaws.
Axeman's up.
I can't think of the guy's name, but he's got a car. But Clay and them do something with NHRA, and it's one of the Street Outlaw guys. I just can't remember his name.
It's legit freaking
entertaining. And they win like 50. I want to say that 50,000. They win.
So they do.
That's what we win.
50, I know. It's like,
we
but then
step our game
they're
up.
big things like 100,000.
So they do. It's called like no prep.
Okay.
So basically,
it's just bracket racing.
Well, not bracket, but like it's heads up, right?
It's heads up racing, but they can't prep the track.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So there's no like pimp juice. There's no, you know what I mean?
VHT. I want to make a cologne. Like I swear to God, when I get to the racetrack every weekend, I just like I go down there and huff the freaking starting line. You know what I mean? Like
that and Cam too is just
it's like it smells like cotton candy to me or something. Dude. You know what I mean? Like the VHT. I want a VHT candle so bad in my place. You know what I mean? Like I would so just huff VHT. I don't know what it'd do for my brain cells, but it couldn't be good. But I love how it smells.
Worse than what you got coming in that cab, homie.
Oh man, yeah, nitro. These people that stand back behind the car that that huff that stuff. I tried to be a badass and try not to wear a respirator one time and dude, I was crying so hard my nose had snot coming out of my nose and I was begging. I was ready to just shut the car off because I couldn't do it anymore. And someone finally threw me a towel to put over my mouth, and I was like, I will never again try to do that. You know what I mean? Like it was just, my guys don't wear respirators, but they can kind of move around and get out of it. Like, but when you're sitting there and those pipes are like pitching it out there right beside your head.
When you're doing that burnout and it's like, you're like blowing it right in their face.
That nitro, man, it's just it's crazy.
Burns.
But people love to huff that stuff, man, behind the pit.
Something wrong with people. That's where COVID came from.
That stuff will kill COVID, man.
That'll kill COVID.
That's what it is. Go to a drag race, you'll be fine.
Stand behind.
I actually got COVID from the drag race. I won Epping, and so our media gets on us about like they want us up there in the media center right away, and I do a good job at pissing our media folks off because I won't go up there. So like I'm really big about like these people come back. There's hundreds of people after the race that will come back and they want to celebrate with you and all that stuff. So I like to pass my trophy around, take pictures and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I got COVID was, no good deed goes unpunished, right? So hugging on people, taking pictures, passing your trophy around, all that kind of stuff. But our media folks, because they want to get their press releases out real quick, they want you to go up to the media center and talk to them. Well, then the fans are gone when they've waited all day long to be there with you and celebrate and all that kind of stuff. And we got champagne. I'm spraying champagne all over everybody and stuff like that. And it's just like, I'm just like, sorry, the media people can come down here. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. So it's real important for me, to our fans are what pay our bills, right? And so it's just one of those deals where I love to pass a trophy around and take. Man, people are like, "Oh my God, I've never touched a Wally before," and like, they can't believe that you would give it to them to hold to take a picture. I'm like, "It's a Wally, bro. Like, it's all right. Drop it on the floor. I'll pick it up. I'm still gonna put it on the shelf. You know what I mean? Like
metal.
Yeah, So, but like these people are just they're blown away by it. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's like I do that every time I win. But like that's how I picked up COVID was someone hugging or in your face with it or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, like I wouldn't trade it because you made someone's day by like they come back in next year and they get you sign the picture that they took with you at the in the winter circle and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
that's what matters. I mean, brass tacks of it all. The adrenaline rush is
it's hard to replace
I've
that.
9 seconds.
There you go. That's good,
car,
man. Yeah, that's fast though. Honestly, that's like a demon. Like I teach over at the Radford Racing School, and we have demons that we do a 9-second class with. You know what I mean? So that's pretty quick, man.
So I had an all-wheel drive 4-cylinder Eagle Talon, and I built it, and it was 606 at the wheel. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it was all-wheel drive, and it would
go.
And on the top,
no slipping, huh?
When that turbo,
spool up. Yeah.
It was nasty, and that's what all these dudes like these street outlaw guys.
Oh yeah.
They're running fairly decent sized motors. You got a couple small block cars with twin turbos. But most of them are like the 500 plus cc's, 200,000 or 2,000 horsepower on the street they're trying to tame. They got away from the pro mods so much, and now they're trying to bring back like the OG, like, hey, you got to have steel quarters, steel roof.
Here's our rules,
because a couple of my friends have been on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ran their trucks on it and stuff, diesel trucks and stuff. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Some of those diesel trucks are nasty, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous. But I feel like if you haven't watched that,
I gotta check it out, man.
Yeah.
I just don't watch TV is my problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I throw a TV on, it's some Discovery Channel or some X-Men or some guy building knives on or something. I don't know, but
Forged in Fire.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't ever like when I'm time to sit down on the couch. I'm just usually conking out, man.
Yeah,
you know?
bro.
So
and
and like there's time and place for it, but like. If for me, it's just I've just never been a big TV guru, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna watch now because I'm gonna go and make it a point to pick it out, and check it out.
The cool thing about it is,
and you would think that since I'm in drag racing, I would know all about it, but it's kind of like football. Everybody's like, "What's your fantasy football deal?" And what's your team? And I'm just like, I feel so unmanly because I don't even have a football team. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know who's good. I just know everybody's like hating on the Cowboys because somebody choked. That's all I know.
A kicker or something like that, right?
Yeah. So I saw this meme and it was like, check here for Dallas Cowboy football. It's like an application or something. There was a square. To check in, and all the checks were outside of the square. And I was like, oh, he must have blown it. He must have freaking blown it.
My team's not too far behind, the Colts.
Oh, yeah.
They're not too.
I don't follow shit anymore.
Yeah.
I tried. I was like, I need to follow tech. Just because we're here, and I just don't. Their football. I tried to watch some football this year, bro, and I was like,
well, my old man had me out to his suite. Him and Larry, they split a suite out there at the tech deal at the football games. And it was the first time I ever been, and I was like, "This is awesome! Like, you guys, been doing this one." He's like, "We've had one for 10 years," and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the first time I've been." You know what I mean? So it just shows you how much, it's
dude,
like
I'm part of the university club. It's like the club up there that's like the best view and all the best food. No, I went once. I went once, and I paid for like a year
forever,
for this club, and
it's
I'm
crazy.
like,
it's your donation that counts.
Yeah. I feel like I'm helping.
You're helping. That's right.
You bought a book. Right. You bought somebody's book, some college book.
Well, the future, man. Like we've been through. Gosh, I mean, the last 4 years. We caught up with you 3 years ago. We've caught up with you now. We know that. You got some racing coming up, right?
Yeah, we got a few more years left on the contract anyway. But
what's happening after that? Like,
honestly, I mean, like we were talking about before, just trying to get involved with my dad a little bit more, and while he's here and willing to teach me some stuff.
That's a wealth of knowledge, man.
Well, it's life lessons, right? Like like if I started today, I couldn't dream a matter of having the life lessons that you've been through. Like you can go to school, and my dad finished high school, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like not college educated. Went into the military and came out here and decided to be a part of this dealership deal, and has built this thing into it grosses over $500 million a year. You know what I mean? Like they don't net that, but like but it's just this monster that has been created
it's one
here
of
in
his
our
companies too.
Because he had 119 last podcast. 119 like companies or entities that he was working with.
Oh, really? No, I don't know. I don't know. That sounds like a lot. I know he's got 42.
42.
Yeah.
I have to listen.
Maybe 119 employees.
Maybe it was something, but I remember the 119.
Oh, okay.
But
that's a lot. But but no,
maybe
I know
it's
that
like projects or something.
Okay,
done.
Well, I know that they're building a bunch. They do like close to 1,000 homes a year and spec homes and different things like that.
Yeah.
But he's got 42 companies, and they've I think they're less than 900 employees now, but it's somewhere around that, with all the stuff that they're doing. But I mean, I really don't know where the future lies. I'm lucky to get through the weekend with 10 fingers and toes, man. You know what I mean? So I'm very blessed for that. But like
you kind of go quickly.
Yeah, but like people don't realize that. They think, oh, these things are so safe. But I think that you still have to have the mentality of if you get in this car and it goes 300 miles an hour in under 4 seconds in 1,000 feet, there's stuff that's going to happen, right? Like if you call in that car and you don't think something's going to you're foolish. You're a fool to get in that car, But knowing that, I'm not a daredevil, and I don't expect to lose my life in a funny car, and and I'm not trying to do that. But I think that there has to be that mindset of like, this can happen to me. Like the first time I was on fire, like it was a big fire for me, man, and like it was it put it in perspective real quick how bad it can get, you know, how fast, you know, and you see people in a skyscraper and then you see them jump out of the skyscraper to their death, you know, because the building's on fire or whatever. And you're going like, that was so stupid. Like, why would someone, but when you're in that situation and you can't breathe and your legs are getting blistered and your hands are blistering up and it's like a frog in a frying pan, you want out, right? Like, so my first fire for me, like really, truly, it prepared me for a lot of the stuff I've had here later in my career and all the explosions and all the blow-ups and all the crashes and all that kind of stuff. But until you go through it, no one can tell you how to get through it, you know. And I panicked. My first one, I freaked out, dude. I truly was like, I'm gonna die, you know what I mean? And I was trying to jump out of the car, and I hadn't even unbuckled, and the car was still probably running 150 miles an hour, and like I wanted out, you know what I mean? But I was taking in all this smoke, and you know my legs were getting blistered up, and I was on fire, and I was scared, and I didn't know what to do, and you know, and then finally you're like, calm down and hold your breath and unbuckle and get this thing stopped and put it up against the wall to slow some speed off of this thing, and you know, just until you go through that kind of stuff, you don't know how to get through it, you know what I mean? But once you've been through it, it's like, all right, I've been here, I can do this, you know. But getting in those cars, I think that, you know, you do have to think about there's something that could happen and going to happen, you know what I mean? It's just a matter of like how many times you roll the dice, you know?
You got that ritual, right?
Yeah.
What's your ritual?
Yeah, so like for me, it's like I put everything on the same, you know, same leg, same arm, all that kind of stuff, and you go around, you check the car, you check the parachute, you beat on the car, you know, you point up to God, you know, and give glory to God, and it's just like you crawl in there knowing that you've put yourself in the safest environment that you can to do the job that you have to do, and you depend on your people to do their job, and you just.
James said, "What's up?" Honestly, he's back.
Yeah,
and we're back.
And we're back. Yeah, but you know, I think that's why you can demand a premium, you know, to drive one of these cars. That's why, because you know everybody wants to drive one, but until they're in those situations and they're in those, you know, bad situations, you know, you're just kind of like, all right, now I'm earning my money. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But it's like when I opened up my locker first time I stepped in to DSR, there was 4 fire suits in there. I was like, why is there 4 fire suits? And they're like, you're going to be on fire. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, well, that puts it in perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I think that, you know, you're blessed to do what you do, but I think you also have to worry about counting to 10 on your fingers at the end of the weekend. Man. You know what I mean? So there's that realization of like, you know, you might not come back from this weekend. You know what I mean? But I think that if you go into that deal and that mindset of, oh my gosh, you know, what's going to happen to me? You're not focused on what you got to do, you know, and I'm blessed to do it. I love doing what I do, you know what I mean? And I'd be on fire every weekend if I got to be, you know what I mean? But you've put yourself and trained yourself with those, no different than SWAT and different things like that, you know what I mean? You know there's a risk. People shoot at you, you know what I mean? It's not going to be cool, but like you're willing to do it, you know what I mean?
In military, you think about all the men and women of the military that go through the unknown.
Yeah.
You know, even though, you know, it's like, okay, the technology's there. We've got a team around us. Yeah. You know, but here's our mission. And this is what we're going through. We're going through hell. You know, I
put a thing on my Instagram today. It was talking about the guy. He was he basically blasted open, you know, entryways for his team to go through. He was a SEAL. Yeah. And it was talking about execute. And on the third execute, he'd just like, you know, basically blast the doors down and like everybody run in. And he's like, but we executed and we would crush our opponents and the folks that opposed us. And, you know, and this was just like that mentality, you know what I mean?
It's about that plan. Yeah. And already seeing it. You see it. You see the finish line. You see the victory. You see all that stuff. These guys see the door down. They see whatever.
Yeah.
You know, might be on the other side. But, you know, we even trained for some of that, you know, just clearing a room, you know, it's like, whew. Yeah. That shit gets real, man. Whether you're on fire, you just don't know, you know. Yeah. And that's the thing. What's that? James, I love some James. He is a wild cat, bro. He's over there, and every now and then he'll. Hey James, give me some knowledge, bro. Open your microphone and just give us some knowledge.
Yeah, let's chime in here.
Chime in, James.
He's been wanting to.
I got to hear you. Is your microphone not working? We got the technology all in place, and we're good. We're live. Hey, guys, back with Matt Hagan. Nah, man, but I appreciate you coming in, and it's good to see you guys. And, you know, I just hope hope
we got some drag racing in. That was cool with
did.
the cars there.
I feel good.
I got it on video.
Yeah, you beat me, right?
No, I don't think I
No,
did. Your
you-
modified deal whipped my ass.
I picked the winning car.
Yeah,
I did pick
she
it.
knocked it out. So we'll put some pictures up of that, guys, and I just appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
It's
man.
always nice
Thanks
to catch up and
catching up and getting to share a little bit. And it's cool that you're doing this. You know what I mean? Like, there's no one around here in our hometown doing what you're doing. And
yeah, bro.
it's cool to be here and appreciate the liquor.
Of
and
course,
it's
my
pretty
friend.
smooth, actually. What was it again?
So this that we are sipping on tonight is Bowman Brothers. It's
Very
not even
strong.
it's a small batch. It's not even one of the super high liquors like we've had before, but I wanted
Very
to try
strong. Very strong.
it. You thought it was strong?
I'll stick with
I thought it was pretty smooth.
I'll stick with my energy
I got
drink.
you. Yeah, nah, but it's super smooth. That,
Yeah.
and we've had bland.
It's been aged for a while,
stuff like
feels
that.
like, or tastes like,
Very good, very smooth.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, thank you so much.
thank you, guys.
Appreciate. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
good seeing you.
And we'll catch you on the next one, bro.
Yeah, man, for
you got to
sure.
come back in as
100%.
soon as you get that next championship.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I want you to come back in and check it out.
No different than him putting it on the whiteboard where they're doing the Super Bowl as.
Yes, sir.
Like, this year is it, man. Like, we finished third this year and finished second last year, so it's time. We're due. So
It's time. The 2000 and is it the 23 season that
23 season coming up. Yep.
All right, count it right here. You heard it first.
That's right.
Matt Hagan, the champion. All right, y'all. We love you. Until next time, we're out of here.
Thanks, guys.